Eastern Avenue eastbound between Moby Dick at Wellburn Lane North and Morney Road, so that's fairly messy as well. M25 looking a bit better now clockwise for the QE2 bridge after the broken down oil tanker. That's been shifted. Further west, the roadworks clockwise for the M25 bunching up 10 to 13, A3 through to Staines, anti-clockwise towards 13, pretty busy coming around from the M4 at 15. Kingston Bridge, that's slow near Hampton Wick High Street, probably because of the Hampton Court Flower Show that's running until Saturday. A40 still busy coming in through Greenford and Gypsy Corner, and the A4 Great West Road eastbound, you've got that lane out for the water main work. That's the Scion Lane Gillette Corner junction. The right turn lane on Scion Lane is closed southbound, and that's been causing problems through the rush as well. Further north, you've got emergency repairs, the sewers collapsed, temporary lights on the A10 Kingsland Road both ways. That's at the Dunstan Road junction. It's worse at the moment southbound approaching the works. North Circular westbound still busy to Green Lanes at the Clockhouse interchange, and the lights are out for Ponders End on the A1010 Hertford Road. That's both ways at Nightingale Road. Public transport, no real change there. Chiltern Railway, that line's still closed Denham to Beaconsfield, so buses are running instead. Services to and from the Midlands are diverting via Aylesbury, but the good news is there's a free park and ride service Denham Aerodrome to Denham Station with 400 extra parking spaces. Just a warning for you from today, Chiltern Railways, none of their trains calling at Sudbury and Harrow Road and Sudbury Hill Harrow. You've also got South Eastern services suspended Charlton to Blackheath after a points failure, tickets being accepted on the Docklands Light Railway, and the Tubes, delays on the Northern and Bakerloo lines, in fact delays on the Northern and Piccadilly lines. You've also got no Northern line service Morden to Stockwell with a breakdown, and delays on the Bakerloo as well. Jules Wilson, BBC London 94.9. Next updates in 15 minutes.
BBC London 94.9 FM and BBC Radio London on digital.
On TV, on radio, online.
This is BBC London.
London's news at 9, changing the law, planning the stadiums. London's 2012 Olympics are already taking shape. Regenerating the planet is the task for the G8 leaders in Scotland, and a Kenyan boy at the centre of a visa row arrives in the capital. Good morning, I'm Richard Foster. The members of London's victorious Olympic campaign team return home tomorrow after celebrating their success in winning the backing of the IOC to stage the 2012 Games. An Olympics bill setting out the framework for the Games will be introduced into Parliament soon. They've now got 7 years to regenerate the East End. BBC London 94.9's Max Rushton has more.
Seb Coe might be used to sprint finishes, but this time he knows that won't be enough.
This is 7 years of very, very hard, unremitting work.
After 64 years without the Games, we'll have another opening ceremony.
The hour has struck. The eyes of the world today, and for these next 14 days, will be on London.
So what to do? Well, there's a lot of building, £560 million worth to be precise, and with that comes security. It's a big deal. The Chief Commissioner of the Met is Sir Ian Blair.
London is a terrorist target, and particularly the postcard sites of London have been all along, and it is again that experience. But what is important to recognise is that because we're broadly in new build territory, these games will be built to contain security.
Reassuring words, and even though there's a lot of time to go, the knock-on effects are already being noticed. Apparently house prices in the capital could rise by 60%, but it's sport that's the big winner. The Chief Executive of UK Athletics, David Moorcroft.
I actually think it's the greatest moment in British sport. It'll change the face of sport in this country, right across the UK.
The bid team get home today, and they say work starts in earnest as soon as they touch down.
Well, the Mayor Ken Livingstone says he won't hesitate to use compulsory purchase orders to free up the land in Stratford. He says most of the businesses who need to relocate are happy with what's been offered to them, but there are a few who are making unrealistic demands.
I absolutely make it clear, though, that if a few firms continue to be difficult and don't want to be involved in serious negotiations, we will move very rapidly towards the compulsory purchase procedures that I have. That takes the issue out of my hands, puts it in the hands of an independent arbitrator.
A model of what the Olympic site will look like in 2012 is going on display today. It's part of an exhibition which will highlight some of the largest developments going on in the capital. It's taking place at the New London Architecture Gallery. Peter Murray's the curator there. He's told BBC London 94.9 it's not just the new Olympic Stadium which will be shown,
but also the whole way that the architects have addressed the site, in that it's next to the Lee River and crossing over the river with wide bridges, so that they don't feel like normal bridges, but almost like extensions of the ground, so that you actually arrive at the stadium by coming up over a bridge, and you get this fantastic view looking over the whole of the Olympic site.
A disabled African boy at the centre of a visa rouse due to arrive in London for urgent medical treatment. Freddie Matilli, who's 14 months old, was initially refused entry because it was feared his treatment would have to be paid for by the NHS. He has no arms or legs due to the drug thalidomide. Arrangements are being made for him to see a medical team from Queen Mary's Hospital in Roehampton. Leaders of the group of industrialised G8 nations are beginning their formal talks at the Gleneagles Summit in Perthshire this morning. Global warming is dominating the first day's discussions, followed by talks on tackling debt and then poverty in Africa. The director of the World Bank, Paul Wolfowitz, says the summit will make history, but it won't happen immediately.
You don't do it in a week, that's my point. There are a lot of important commitments that will be made this week. The test of really making history will be 5 or 10 years from now if the countries of Africa have really made progress, if poverty has really been reduced, if poor people there have opportunities that we enjoy.
Now with the sport, here's Mark.
Well, 4 changes to the Lions side that are going to play the All Blacks in the third and final test on Saturday. Most high profile is that Shane Williams and Jason Robinson are out and they're dropped, not injured. Like Johnny Wilkinson, he won't play, and neither will Gavin Henson. They're both injured. Jordan Murphy, he'll make his test debut. Arsenal are weighing up whether to improve their offer to Seville for Julio Baptista. They've turned down £6 million. Chelsea have confirmed that the Argentine striker Hernan Crespo will play for them next season at Stamford Bridge. He's been out on loan. England goalkeeper Paul Robinson is expected to sign a new 7-year contract with Spurs today, and England and Australia will resume battle in the first of the 3 matches of the NatWest Cricket Challenge at Headingley. This means with this tournament trials new rule changes, which include putting a substitute onto the pitch. Surrey and Middlesex safely through to the quarter-finals of the 2020 Cup.
BBC London 94.9, it's coming up to 7 minutes past 9.
This is London's liveliest phone-in with John Gaunt. Call 020 722 42000. Email gaunty@bbc.co.uk. John Gaunt, weekday mornings from 9.
Good morning, it's John Gaunt. It is 9 o'clock. Right, with you right through till 12. Thanks to Joe for another superb breakfast show, and to Mark and Balin. Is that true then? Is that true? She told you all to wear your lucky knickers yesterday, and she's claiming responsibility for the result. Well, as I just said to Joe, there isn't really much to talk about today, is there? Apart from one major story, and I'm just going to start like this. Well, What do you make of it this morning? Has it made you proud to be British? Was it important that we got one over the French? Has that made you put all your worries about the Olympics on one side? Come on, pick up the phone and give us a call. How much should we be celebrating today? Is this just not the best news ever? I mean, I'll be straight with you. You know my views on the Olympics. Always wanted them to come. Not happy with the way they were going to be paid for. Still not happy, really. But in a way now, I suppose we've got to move on, haven't we? That row's been had, that row's been lost. You are going to pay the price of a walnut whip. But when you saw the jubilation, when you heard it, when you saw it happen, I mean, I was down in Stratford, Rob was down in Trafalgar Square. Even when I got home last night, I was out watching Bethany's play last night, but later on watching the 10 o'clock and the 10:30 news on BBC One, you can't help but be moved by it. It has put a spring in the step. It does make us proud to be British. I do think we'll pull it off. I know we've had some dreadful experiences with Picket Lock and I guess you could say the Dome. You could also say Wembley. But now we've got the big one, haven't we? And do you think we can do it? Pick up the phone and give us a call. Are you celebrating? If you want to put a voice of discontent in there, feel free as well. Feel free as well. This is an open line. We're not going to censor you. But this is really the subject we have got to talk about this morning. 020 722 42000. Pick up the phone and give us a call. Are you positive? Are you negative? Where do you stand? Seb Coe as well. I'm confidently predicting he'll be the next mayor of London, won't he? He's bound to stand, isn't he? Because most people are, okay, he's got the job to pull off the Olympics. Will he pull it off? Or will he, after 3 years or so, say, no, I've done that. I've set it right up now. Somebody else take over to do the nitty-gritty. I'm going to stand for mayor. Would he be mayor after pulling that off for London? Go one step further. Will he become the next leader of the Conservative Party? Not straight away, maybe, but maybe in a couple of years. Could he become a Prime Minister? Because it's got to be down. A lot of this, I mean, I'm looking forward to speaking to them tomorrow, hopefully, when they arrive back. I think they get back 6:30 in the morning. You've got to say it's down to Seb Coe. Because the Invisible Woman, what did she achieve? Barbara Cassani. It seemed to step up a gear about, just over a year ago now, wasn't it? When Seb took over. And I said it yesterday, I'll say it again today. I remember interviewing him in the first week when he took over. Do you remember that, Monica? And I don't think he came over very well at all. I thought, oh, God, he's not going to be much better than her, the Invisible Woman. But then suddenly he stepped up a gear. Maybe that's to do with his competitive nature. Maybe that's to do with the backroom team he's assembled around him. And it'd be churlish to do anything but congratulate the team. They have pulled off something absolutely remarkable. Have they put the great back into Great Britain? I don't know. What do you reckon? And it was that delicious thing, wasn't there? Bobby Elms was the first to mention it yesterday. I noticed that most of the papers have picked up on this yesterday. When Bobby talked about the fact, this is right, that it's France versus Britain in Trafalgar Square. This was before the result came through, Bobby said this. He says, after all of what happened about the Trafalgar celebrations and commemorations. And then, of course, we win! Again! But I tell you, when we are at the Olympics in 2012, we won't be the blue team, will we, or the red team? We will be Team GB. What do you think? Pick up the phone and give us a call. What will it mean for Stratford? I want your views on here. I was on the train this morning, just saying to Joe, and there must have been estate agents, and they were going, oh, yeah, house prices going up. Oh, 20% overnight in the Stratford area. I don't know whether that's true. If you're in the business, give us a call on that one, please, as well. 020-722-4200. I've got some emails already overnight. Some of them a bit knocking. I'm going to read those out as the show goes on, but I want your view. 020-722-4200. Now, we might talk about a few other things. You might want to talk about the G8 summit and the police yesterday. Were they too heavy-handed again? Today they've surrounded this camp, haven't they, at Stirling. Was it right that the protesters were sitting in the road? We've got to make it clear as well. It's only a minority of them who are being violent. Let's keep that in perspective if we possibly can. And would you eat food at a gig or an exhibition? Would you have a burger? I just wouldn't eat it. I'd eat before I went, wouldn't you? 020-722-4200. And we could also talk about banks if you want this morning. 1/3 of customers are unhappy with their service. Tell me about it. Why is it so hot in here today? Is the air conditioning not working, Abby? Can we check it out, please? 020-722-4200 if you want to join in then. So the question really this morning is, well, you've had a night to sleep on it. Tell me now what you think about the Olympics. Let's go to Vicky on the A40, first-time caller. Good morning, Vicky.
Morning.
Hi, what do you want to say?
Well, first of all, I think it's great that there's going to be a lot of investment in East London. Clearly, it's an area in need of regeneration. But I just find it really difficult to cope with the amount of money that we seem to spend on things that just don't seem to have any value to me when you put them against the whole Make Poverty History and what they're trying to achieve in the G8. There are starving people in Africa. I might have my facts wrong, but I understand we spent in excess of £2 million gambling on getting the Olympics here.
Hold on a minute. You got your facts wrong. We spent between 35 and 50 million pounds gambling.
Yeah, well, I wasn't sure about that, but I mean, that makes it worse, doesn't it? £35 million. I mean, I don't want to actually get into a conversation about what if we lost and we'd wasted £35 million. But is there something wrong with the whole Olympic process that 4 countries have maybe also wasted?
No, slow down. I agree with you. It's 5 countries, actually. 5 countries have spent the best part of somewhere between 20 and 50 million. So let's just go at 20 million. That's £100 million. I think the whole system is incorrect. I think the way that we bid is incorrect. I think the parallel you're drawing with G8, Live 8 and starving African children, it's a bit sick, isn't it? We should get a better system of deciding, okay, it's that continent this year, so the following year it'll be that continent, you sort out which city, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, if it's so easy that I can make the suggestion and you can agree, why the hell can these, theoretically intelligent people not sort it out? Why are we wasting money and then being bombarded with images of starving kids? And in England, homeless people and the National Health Service hasn't got enough money. Why doesn't any government, just sort its priorities out?
I think that's a very fair point indeed. Thank you very much indeed for it. Let's move on. Oh no, we'll get some travel news, then we'll come back to your call. So it's, well, the question this morning on the Gauntly phone in is, well, ? We could talk about the other subjects if you want, including G8 and would you eat food and are you happy with your banks? But let's talk about London for a moment. What does it mean for London 9:15.
On 94.9 FM, this is BBC London.
Well, today's weather, just a quick update. Rather cloudy at times with occasional heavy showers, sunny intervals developing, and a top temperature of 21 degrees Celsius, 70 Fahrenheit. Now, unfortunately for public transport, we've got some major incidents occurring at the moment. I've just had a word with TfL. They're asking that please people avoid the whole tube network at the moment. Tickets are being honoured on local bus routes, but at the moment that is the whole tube network. So if you're heading to a tube station, you probably won't be let in anyway. We'll give you updates as soon as we get them. Elsewhere, Chiltern Railway Line still closed Denham to Beaconsfield. That bus service running. That's after last week's tunnel collapse at Gerrard's Cross. Services to and from the Midlands diverting via Aylesbury, and they've got a free park and ride Denham Aerodrome to Denham Station with 400 parking spaces. Still problems for Thameslink and Midland Main Line, Bedford to St Pancras with the overhead line problems at Mill Hill Broadway. Onto the roads, we've got the accidents for the A2. That's Watling Street London bound. One lane blocked off at the Rootham Road junction. Another one for East Rochester Way westbound before Danson. Those queues are back past Dartford Heath. And you've got the Burstwater Main closing off the A12 Eastern Avenue eastbound between Welbone Lane North at Moby Dick and Morney Road. If you're heading out on the western side of town for the roadworks on the M25, clockwise slow 10 to 13. That's the A3 round to Staines. Anti-clockwise 15 to 13. Pretty busy coming round from the M4. Kingston Bridge slow near Hampton Wick High Street. That's probably because the Hampton Court Flower Show's on at the moment. Further north, A1 easing off southbound through Stirling Corner. Still queues for the North Circular westbound at Green Lanes. That's the Clockhouse interchange. And the lights are out for Ponders End on the A1010 Hertford Road at Nightingale Road. Just to reiterate once again the public transport side of things, the situation is at the moment they've got some incidents taking place on the underground, and TfL are asking please avoid the whole tube network at all costs. You can use your tickets on local bus routes. Jules Wilson, BBC London 94.9. The next update's at 9:30.
There has been an incident at Liverpool Street, as Jules said. We'll keep you informed, and we've sent reporters to the scene at the moment. We can't really say anything else at the moment, nothing confirmed at the moment, but we will keep you in touch with that as the show progresses. And indeed, if you're in the area, could you please now call us? 020 722 42000. If you're in the area, Deccan, prioritise this, please. Obviously, get the information you can get from the people. But if you're in the Liverpool Street tube station area, or you were there at 9 o'clock, could you please ring us here at BBC London now? We need to hear from you. Get on the mobile. 020 722 42000. Bring you more on that in a couple of moments. Please prioritise those calls. Let's go to Phil in Hamworth. Good morning, Phil.
Morning, John. How you doing?
I'm very well. What do you want to say, my friend?
Well, just about the Olympics, obviously about the Olympics, because that's what everyone's going to be the topic of most conversation, I imagine, this morning. I still, actually, to be honest with you, I'm still smarting over it. Like, the fact that we've won it and the way we've got to pay for it. That really is... I don't know.
So have you got mixed emotions? That you're happy we've won it because it's great for Great Britain, but you're still angry that you're paying for it? Is that what you're trying to say? What?
Well, yes, I'm a little bit more happy about it than I was yesterday. I'd have gone off for a paddy yesterday. It really gave me the ache all day yesterday. The fact that it's going to be funded. I know a lot of people says, there's going to be a lot of good coming out of it, but I don't know, maybe because I like it, I love a conspiracy. I still think that, like, French Premier, he's laughing.
Well, do you you think Chirac deliberately spoiled it? He didn't want it. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, and it's a way of getting out of it because he knows if we get it. I'm still worried that it's not going to come in time. We're just going to end up with like so much egg on our faces. I don't know. I've got very, very mixed emotions about it all.
Thank you, Phil. I'm going to leave you there. Thank you very much indeed. 020 722 42000. 19 minutes past 9. Let's go to Patrick in Peckham. What do you make of the news, Patrick?
Hey, John, we got it. It's my desire to have it around. And then Stratford is going to develop. John, there's one thing that we have to look at it. I want to see the program that the BBC London will draw before we have this Olympics by visiting all the boroughs along the road and what their contribution is and what their involvement is. This is what we have to do. Other than that, we cannot infuse the community to know what we're doing. We in Peckham are on the route near South East, and then we are near the Olympic Games. We don't know our involvement. So such a plan should be clearly be exhibited or consulted to the community. We have the travelling.
Okay, so get involved is what you're saying.
We want to know what plans are for each borough.
OK, Patrick, thank you for that. 020 722 42000. Well, London's victorious Olympic campaign team are probably nursing monster hangovers this morning after a night of celebrations in Singapore. The athletes, politicians and officials are now heading home to begin the task of producing a successful Games in 2012 after winning the International Olympic Committee's backing by just 4 votes. Let's speak to our reporter Ben Wilkins in Singapore. Morning, Ben.
Good morning, John.
Have you got a headache?
I'm a little tired.
A little tired.
The party went on until 5 o'clock in the morning, and Seb Coe was there until about 4:30.
Yep.
Ken Livingstone left early. I ended the night kissing the culture secretary Tessa Jowell. So it was a late night because she was saying goodbye. She's a very nice lady.
Right, we should move on, young Ben. What is the atmosphere like there now? And when are they coming home?
Well, they're all basically, everything's being deconstructed and de-rigged in the Raffles Centre now. All of the London bid team are just getting up, I think, after last night. Some people are already in the air, flying home to London to start work. I think the majority of people are flying out about now or later on today.
And when will they arrive back? About 6:30 tomorrow, isn't it, Ken Livingstone and people out?
We're not quite sure. We think so, but not everyone's getting on the same flight. So, I mean, it varies. We think Ken might already have left, actually, but everyone's kind of gone to ground now, and everyone will re-emerge in London probably tomorrow or possibly the next day.
The only person...
I assume there'll be some kind of press conference then and you know,
Sure.
official sort of let's get on with it type thing.
Some of the newspapers over here are saying the only person who wasn't jumping for joy was Ken. He was almost motionless when that result came through. Did he get more excited later as the day progressed?
He was sort of fairly sanguine about it. I think he sort of seemed to drop his head slightly when the announcement came through. He wasn't jumping up and down, but I don't know. You know, he's a 60-year-old man, not an athlete.
He's also the guy who's got to pull it off. I guess the realisation that, oh my goodness, now we've got to do it, sort of thing. Yeah.
Well, exactly, and I think he said that, you know, it's a privilege to be given the Games, but it's also an enormous responsibility, and he's going to be one of the key people in charge of it, certainly in London, of course, because not everything's in London, but yeah, it's an enormous responsibility for him. He was very pleased, though, I have to say.
And what about Seb Coe? What was his mood as the night progressed?
Really, really, really happy man. You know, everybody was trying to get photos with him, putting their arms around his shoulders, etc. And, you know, finally he could relax, I think, after, you know, pulling off a bit of a coup there.
And so what now? The work starts, to use the cliche, I guess?
Well, it does, and I think the immediate thing that happens is, of course, everyone flies home, and then the first job, really, will be to begin to give names to all the jobs that need to be done. Now, we were told before we won the bid that if we did win, a cabinet-level minister would be appointed as the Olympic minister. So that, it's taken as read, will be Tessa Jowell,
Yep.
the Secretary of State for Culture, Media and Sport at the moment. She is in overall charge of the Olympics, if you like, and she will be blamed if anything goes wrong. London also gets a new authority, so as well as the Greater London Authority, we will now have the Olympic Delivery Authority, which will be a separate body, you know, appointed by the government. We don't know who is going to be on that. It won't be an enormous authority, but they're in charge of actually making this happen. Seb Coe will fit in somewhere along these lines, although we really don't know yet who's going to get what job. And then other members of the London 2012 team are already filling out job applications.
And I understand Ken's been talking about, in particular, the businesses in Marshgate Lane. Is that right?
Well, Ken Livingstone hasn't said anything over here to me.
Oh, right.
He has said that, I mean, it is a case of now it's their job to get on with it. So, yes, as far as the businesses in Marshgate Lane go, it's now feasible that they will be served with compulsory purchase orders if a deal isn't agreed. All of that land that they're occupying at the moment will be built on.
Yeah.
Some of it's already started, of course, so yes, that's all happening. The East London Park is, you know, work is well underway with that. The first sort of big structure we will see being built will be the Aquatic Centre. That should be finished in 2007, 2008, I think.
Okay.
And so on and so on.
Thank you very much indeed, Ben. When are you home?
I'm flying out in a few hours' time, so back to London. I think the story moves away from here now, and of course back home to London, yeah.
No more kissing ministers. See you later. 020-722-4200, 25 minutes past 9. That was Ben, who did a sterling job for us out in Singapore over the last few days. Asking your views now. There's been an incident at Liverpool Street. Pete joins me in the studio. Pete Wilson can tell us what's been going on. Good morning, Pete.
Good morning. We're just trying to figure out exactly what this is. We've been told that there was something that happened during the rush hour this morning with reports of a bang. Now, what we're getting from British Transport...
Sorry, of a bang, an explosion?
No, a bang. It
bang.
was just a noise that was reported at the time, and that's what people started to think as to what was going on. We've now been told it looks like there could have been a collision between two trains involved on it that may have caused a power surge. Now, the advice at the minute is for people not to try and use the underground simply because...
The whole system?
Yeah, because the power's kind of gone through. It's shut everything down at the minute, so there's not really much running. The latest from British Transport Police say that there are a few people have been hurt. We haven't got any figures yet. They've been described as walking wounded.
The incident was at Liverpool Street? Liverpool
Street, yeah. It's thought that there's now been some kind of power surge that's gone through affecting Bank and King's Cross. So it's going to have quite a bit of a knock-on effect. Obviously, it's still coming through at the minute, so the best advice is probably listen to the travel bulletins that come out at 9:30 especially. They'll give the latest. But at the moment, the advice is to stay away from the underground for the time being because of this.
Thank you very much indeed. 020 722 4200. If you were at Liverpool Street this morning and you know what's gone on, give me a call, please, straight away. 020 722 4200. But the advice at the moment, stay off the tube. 26 minutes past 9. We'll have a full travel update for you. Bang on, 9:30. Take a quick break. Back in a moment.
You're listening to London's radio station.
How do you intend to prove to Londoners that you are indeed a thief taker rather than a social engineer?
Next Tuesday morning, the Met Police Commissioner, Sir Ian Blair, answers to you.
My job is to make London safe, and how am I going to be judged? Let's see how safe London is in 5 years' time.
Your concerns on London's crime.
Why is it the police start harassing motorists instead of dealing with burglars and robbers? It's a balance issue.
Community support officers.
They're doing a different job, and I just think everybody should get off their backs.
And what he expects from you.
I want Londoners to take the Met a bit more closely to their hearts.
Put your questions direct to Sir Ian Blair on the John Gaunt programme. Next Tuesday morning from 9.
On BBC London 94.9.
Yeah, that's going to be some programme, let me tell you. Next Tuesday morning. Now, if you want to get your question to Ian Blair, you can send me an email whenever you fancy, gaunty@bbc.co.uk. But make sure you're tuned in next Tuesday morning at 9. 27 minutes past 9 at the moment. Let's go to Sean in Bexley, first-time caller. Good morning, Sean.
Good morning, Courtney. How you doing?
I'm fabulous. What do you want to say?
Well, I was all ready to rant and rave when I heard that the whole tube network was down, and thinking, oh my God, what does this spell for the Olympics?
Yeah.
And one of the things they picked up on was the transport.
They did.
And then I heard that there was, probably an incident where probably people have been hurt. So I'm going to sort of less rant and rave, but it does bring some concerns, doesn't it, about London's transport and how just one incident can affect the whole lot. And
of course.
That's my thing, really.
But do you feel that you're happy about the Olympics coming today or not?
Oh yeah, I'm fantastic. I think it's brilliant. I think any chance that London gets for new facilities, new housing, I think that's all for the good. And these people that go on about, well, we could spend it on hospitals, we could do this, could do that. I just think, come on, this is it's time to celebrate,
Thank you for your comments. Quick email, London 2012. To all the doubters who said that London couldn't host the Olympic Games on your show yesterday, John, they should be ashamed of themselves and have some faith in our fantastic city. Danny, a Londoner living and listening on the net in Helsinki. Let's go to Ravin in Croydon, first-time caller. Good morning, Ravin.
Good morning, Gaunty.
What do you want to say?
I don't often ring up your show. I've listened to it for the last couple of years, but it's only the second time I've rung up. And the thing is, for me, it's a case of, let me just set the scene. I've never ever, I was born in 1969, so I didn't hear about, the World Cup is just TV images to me. And I said to my boss in the morning, I said, if we win this will be like the closest that we have to winning the World Cup.
Yeah.
And, and then it was like, remember, it wasn't just Paris that we beat. We beat 5 of the greatest cities in the world.
So what does it mean now, then, for London?
Well, I mean, I think for London, it is definitely a time to be absolutely proud. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people out there as well. The little bit of the frisson is the fact that we stuck it to the French a little bit.
Of course it is. That's a major part.
Yeah, that is definitely a big part, And because, and I was reading today what the French mayor was saying, they didn't play the same game as us. When I was going to my hotel room, I saw people coming out of Sebastian Coe's and Tony Blair's rooms at this. Well, it obviously meant more to us than it meant to you, my friend. Therefore, we deserve to have it. Yeah? And I think that London is going to do a fantastic job. I have no doubt about it. The presentation by us was absolutely fantastic.
So you're very excited this morning?
Yeah, totally.
Thank you, Ravi.
Totally.
Going to leave you there. Thank you very much indeed. 020 722 42000 if you want to join in. If you're at Liverpool Street and you know what's been going on down there, please give me a call. It's exactly 9:30. Here's the news headlines and the travel coming up straight afterwards with Max Rushton.
On 94.9 FM. BBC London.
Thank you, John. Good morning. Emergency services have been called to Liverpool Street Station after reports of an explosion. It's thought the incident was caused by a major power failure. The station's currently cordoned off. TfL are telling people to avoid the entire tube network. British Transport Police have confirmed there are walking wounded and said paramedics have responded to one report of a person classed as life at risk. More on that as soon as we get it. The team that won the 2012 Olympics for London are returning home tomorrow, determined to make an early start on the preparations, which will fill the next 7 years. An Olympics bill setting out the framework for the Games will be introduced into Parliament in the next few weeks. Meanwhile, Ken Livingstone says he won't hesitate to use compulsory purchase orders to free up the land in Stratford. And the work of the G8 summit at Gleneagles has begun, with Tony Blair meeting George Bush over breakfast. They're now joining the other leaders for their first formal talks. Signs of compromise on climate change have begun to emerge. Reports suggest there'll be a deal on seeking alternatives to fossil fuels, the strategy favoured by President Bush, rather than cutting emissions. That's the summary. We'll have a full bulletin at 10.
On 94.9 FM, this is BBC London.
As Max just mentioned, there's a major incident taking place in the city at the moment. Transport for London are asking all passengers to avoid the London Underground. Now, if you are avoiding the tube, obviously, and you need to take a train somewhere, you can get a bus instead. Tickets are being honoured by London buses until further notice. We'll let you know about that. And stations are still in the process of being evacuated at the moment. Now, that's causing disruption for Wagon and Thameslink too. You've got severe disruption on those mainline services around Liverpool Street and Moorgate, and a knock-on effect for the roads in the city as well. Houndsditch has been closed off at the A10 Bishopsgate junction, and the police are asking drivers to avoid the city at the moment. Elsewhere, Chiltern Railway Line is closed Denham to Beaconsfield. Buses running after last week's tunnel collapse at Gerrards Cross. Services to and from the Midlands diverting via Aylesbury. We've got a free park and ride between Denham Aerodrome and Denham Station with 400 parking spaces. Also problems for Midland Mainline, Bedford to St Pancras. They've already got the overhead line problems at Mill Hill Broadway, and obviously that's being affected now by the problems in the city. Onto the roads on the eastern side of town, there's an accident from the M11 southbound, that's 8 to 7, causing problems Stansted to Harlow. Burst Watermain still closing off the A12 Eastern Avenue eastbound between Moby Dick, that's Welburn Lane North and Morney Road. You've also got some problems on the A2 coming in through Falconwood. Had an earlier accident at Watling Road as well, London bound. Further west, Kingston Bridge slow near Hampton Wick High Street. The flower show's on at the moment. And it's also stationary further south, one lane blocked off for an accident on the A23 Brighton Road northbound around Hawley Row. A1 Barnet bypass easing off southbound through Stirling Corner. You've still got some queues on the North Circular westbound through Green Lanes at the Clockhouse interchange. And just to go back to the public transport side of things, just to finish off, again, Transport for London asking all passengers to avoid the tube network at the moment. Stations are in the process of being evacuated. Tickets are being honoured for you by London buses. We'll keep you updated on that one. And finally, for the weather, rather cloudy at times, occasional heavy showers. Top temperatures 21 Celsius, 70 Fahrenheit. Jules Wilson, BBC London 94.9. The next update's at 9 to 10.
This is BBC London. John Gord's. Call 020 722 42000. London's liveliest phone-in with John Gord's. Weekday mornings from 9.
28 to 10. Tyrone's in Liverpool Street. First time caller. Good morning, Tyro.
Good morning, Johnny.
Can you tell us what happened? Were you there? Were you in the station? Were you on the train?
I was on a train coming into Liverpool Street. I was prevented from getting onto the tube at Tottenham Hale, and we were then told to take the British Rail into Liverpool Street. Time we got to Liverpool Street, there was hundreds of police waiting to greet us. We first of all were asked to hang around at the top of the escalators. As you can hear, sorry, can you just about hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Carry on.
We were then sort of corralled up to the top of Liverpool Street and eventually asked to evacuate the station. I don't exactly know what's happened. I asked a number of police and officials. It seems to be some sort of security alert that's affected the whole of the East London area, because other passengers have told me that Aldgate East Station has closed, Whitechapel Station has closed, and they seem to be preventing traffic going up and down the Bishopsgate.
OK, thank you very much indeed, Tyrone. If you find out any more, or ring us back. Now, BBC London's 94.9's Ian Wade was actually on the Underground when the incident occurred. He joins me now. Morning, Ian.
Hi, John.
Where were you? Were you on one of the trains, or
I was
what?
actually on the train it happened to, John. We come in from Cockfosters, so I was on the Piccadilly line. It was running slow all morning. I knew I was going to be late in. And we had just left King's Cross Station. I'd say we was 200 metres outside of King's Cross, and an almighty bang. Lights went out, soot filled the actual carriage we was in, and people started screaming and all sorts. And then the emergency electricity come on. We was in the actual carriage about 15 minutes. They started filing us out. They shut the line down, all the electricity, and the officials have walked us down. Now, as I was walking, I asked one of the officials what happened, and he said one of the electric overhead lights, he thinks, fell down and hit the front of the train. I mean, there's people here crying. We was actually on the train. It happened.
Was
I've never seen it like it.
Was there panic on the train when that bang happened and when those lights went out? There must have been panic.
To be honest with you, people were silent for about 15, 20 seconds. You couldn't believe it. It was. Some people were saying, "Oh my God, help me," and all sorts, screaming, banging on the doors, and others were saying, "No, don't open anything. If there's a fire outside, we're going to be dead in minutes. If there's smoke coming in." But people generally were very, very good. You know, there was people keeping people calm and saying, "Look, we're all right. There's no fire. You know, hang on."
How long were you in the dark for?
I would say 15 minutes. But the train was absolutely, which is normal, absolutely packed. So, I mean, there's people seated. It was the busiest train I've ever been on anyway, because it was running slow. So it couldn't have happened at a worse time. But it was almost like a bomb going off. It was just a boom. And I thought the windows had come in, as I say, but it wasn't the case at all.
So there was
covered in soot, though.
Yeah, covered in soot, but no actual damage to the train in terms of windows in or carriages
Not
crushed?
in the carriage I was in, John, but
Right.
I didn't see the whole train, so I don't know, mate, honestly.
How about injuries? Any injuries?
Well, I'm just looking over. I see someone standing over there. He's got a short-sleeve shirt on, and he's got a lot of cuts on his arm. But that's the first and only one that I've seen actually injured. Other than that, people are sobbing and covered in soot and all sorts.
Where are you at this moment?
Right outside King's Cross Station.
Yeah,
we walked back to King's Cross when they got us off the train.
All right, so you walked back down the line, basically, escorted, and it took about 15 minutes for the lights to come on. How long for Underground staff to get to you and say, "Come on, we're walking you out"?
That was it, 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
As soon as we had people, Chinese whispers saying, "Oh, hang on, they're walking us out of the train, they're walking us out of the train." But it was 15 minutes before we actually saw an official who actually opened the door and let us out. They didn't open all the doors, they opened one carriage, and everyone had to walk up to that carriage and get out.
Anything else you can tell me at this point, Ian?
Only that I'm choking, John. Apart from that, not really a lot. I'm going to be late in, by the way.
I don't think we were worried about that. We want you to stay there for the moment until we get a reporter down. We'll come,
Okay,
if
mate.
anything else develops, ring us straight back, please, Ian. Thank you very much indeed. Ian Wade, he works here. He was actually on the train this morning. Somebody says one of the lights has fallen on the front of the train. He says soot everywhere. Massive bang, he said. Lights went out for 15 minutes. He was on the train coming on the Piccadilly from Cockfosters. He says that they were in the dark for 15 minutes. People crying, people panicking. But in the end, they were walked out. 15 minutes the lights came back on. They were walked out back to King's Cross. If you were on there, tell us about it. 020 722 42,000. Keep off the tube today. That's the advice from Transport for London at the moment, because it isn't working at all. Alexa in Liverpool Street, were you there?
Yes, I was on the tube at the station.
Were you actually on the train when it happened?
Yeah, I was.
Where were you travelling from and to?
Liverpool Street. It's sitting in Liverpool Street Station on the tube.
And what happened?
There was a really loud bang, and the lights went off, and everybody ducked and screamed. We were told to evacuate and not to run, but everybody ran.
Yeah. People ignored that, did they?
Yes.
Are you injured in any way?
No, a bit shaken up, but not injured.
Covered in soot?
Sorry?
Are you covered in soot as well?
No.
How long?
Not actually.
How long did you sit in the dark for?
Well, we were actually at the station, so we could get off straight away. So we kind of stood there for a minute, not knowing what to do, and then just ran.
Let me get this clear then. So you were obviously on a different train to the one that Ian, who I've just been speaking to. He was on the train from Cockfosters. You heard the bang. Did the train move at all?
Yeah, it was a bit of a thud, but not that much. But you could feel the impact.
Anybody injured in your carriage?
Not that I know of.
Where are you now?
I'm just walking to work.
You're just walking to work, so the police have allowed you to get on with your life today?
Yes. Yeah. Well, there was nobody there when I came out.
What do you mean nobody there?
There was no police around when I came out of the tube station.
What time do you reckon you came out of the tube station, if you don't mind me asking?
Straight away, probably about, I don't really know, probably about 8:50 something.
We wish Alexa, obviously you shook up. Take it easy now. Nice talking to
Thank you.
Thank you very much
Thank
indeed
you.
for contributing. If you were there, I want to hear from you, please. 020 722 42000. Let me just tell you, the tube stations at the moment closed. Underground system down completely. Pete Wilson can fill us in with a few more details, but we want you, if you were there, to phone us. 020 722 42000. Of course, we'll talk to the emergency services once they've got the time. We'll talk to London Underground and TfL as well. We'll keep you informed as the show progresses. No doubt we'll be putting in extra travel bulletins as well. But Pete, what's happening now?
Just to confirm really what we've been told so far, we've talked to the police and we've talked to the ambulance service and the fire brigade. Now, as you can understand, they are busy at the minute. That's why you're not talking to them at the moment. But the information we've got, just before 9 o'clock was when the calls started to come through about a problem. Now, the ambulance service seemingly went to Liverpool Street Station. We've been told that the police and the fire brigade were called to Aldgate Station. And it seems to be somewhere in the middle of those two.
Ian Wade says he's on the Piccadilly coming in from Cockfosters and just coming in and then went past King's Cross and had to walk back there.
Yeah.
So a little bit of confusion about this at the moment, obviously.
You can understand at the moment. We think that it's somewhere
lady was
around...
on Liverpool Street. She was actually in the tube, but it actually hadn't started off at that point.
Yeah. Now, all we're being told is that it is an incident. It has been declared as a major incident, admittedly by the police, but that's all the information that we have at the moment. They're not prepared to tell us exactly what kind of incident, which is understandable as well. We haven't got any details either about anything falling or anything like that. There's no reports
anything
about
on
that.
Injuries?
We've been told that, yes, there are some casualties. Again, all services at the minute are describing the vast majority as walking wounded. There's no idea that there's anything more serious than that at the moment. We'll get as much as we can to you.
Well, let's go live now. OK, Pete, thank you. Let's go live to one of our reporters, Jim Weeble. He's in Stratford. I understand the station's closed there. Good morning, Jim.
Morning, John. Yep, the station is closed here. Everyone's just hanging around outside, not really having much of a clue what's going on. I did go over and have a chat to a couple of engineers who were standing around, and they told me that the whole of the Jubilee line has closed, Bank Station as well. They mentioned Aldgate East as well. I was listening earlier and Pete was mentioning Aldgate. They mentioned Aldgate East, some kind of incident happening there. And they were also talking about a power surge, which is why the line has closed and which is why there are no trains running here from Stratford. But absolutely nothing's going on here. Everyone's just standing around outside.
How many? I mean, obviously I was down there yesterday. I mean, are they all standing in the square as well? Is there a lot of people? Would you say it's hundreds or thousands or what?
I would say there's thousands. I'd say there's definitely a good few hundred. I mean, there were a lot more earlier, but there's pretty good bus connections here, and a lot of people have gone over to get the relevant buses into town. People obviously still going down, not knowing what's happening, walking towards the station, seeing the gates are closed and then hanging around for a bit. But no, I'd say a few hundred. There were more than that earlier, but as I say, getting on the buses.
OK, anything else you can report at this moment, Jim?
Well, to be honest with you, I think there is a bit of confusion as to what has caused this. I spoke to one of the engineers, and he said someone had gone through an electric cable, and that is why this had caused
this is
whole
speculation,
problem.
Of course. All we know now at the moment, officially from the emergency services, they're now describing it as a major incident. But, I mean, we've had Ian Wade saying that he thought a light had fallen onto the front of his train, or he'd been told that. You're saying an electrical cable, but to be honest, not helpful to speculate. We don't really know, do we?
Exactly, we don't know, and that's why I'm going to get down there and see if I can find anything out in a bit.
Thank you very much indeed, Jim. That's Jim Weeble. He's in Stratford. We got our reporters out and about. Obviously, they're rushing to the scene at the moment. But we in situations like this, it's quite simple. I'll be absolutely straight with you. We rely on you as well. That's why we're an interactive radio station. If you were there, please give me a call now. 020 722 42000. You can also text 07786 200 949 or email me, gaunty@bbc.co.uk. Just before we go on to that, I just need to tell you as well, we are going to do travel bulletins now every 15 minutes. So travel bulletin coming up in about 50 seconds time. Jules and the team working on that. But the major advice this morning is do not attempt to travel by the tube. Well, you can't. The whole tube is down at this moment. Keep listening to BBC London 94.9. We'll be with you all the way through till 12 o'clock, keeping you on top of this. We're getting lots of calls now coming through to tell us about this instance. When you do ring, can you just basically say where you were, what you're going to tell us, so that our phone answerers can put you straight up. Don't bother ringing people up back. Put them straight through, please. We need to know what's been happening down there. And as soon as we can talk to the emergency services, we will. 020 722 42,000. You're listening to the John Gaunt Show. Of course, today we were celebrating the great Olympic victory, and we'll come back to some of those calls in a moment. We've got hundreds of calls on that particular subject, but for obvious reasons now, we're obviously concentrating on what's happening with this incident on the tube. And on that note, at 9:45 on BBC London 94.9, here's the next travel bulletin.
On 94.9 FM, this is BBC London.
Thanks very much, John. Well, just to reiterate the situation, Transport for London are asking all passengers to avoid the London Underground. The tube network is basically down. Now, tickets are being honoured by London buses. Stations still at the moment in the process of being evacuated, and it's affecting mainline services as well. I've just heard through from GNER, Wagon and Thameslink, and they've closed off King's Cross mainline station as well. So at the moment, the tube network down and stations are being evacuated. That's having a knock-on effect for the roads as well. Plenty of closures. Houndsditch is closed off at the A10 Bishopsgate junction. Now, you're diverting via the Aldgate one-way system, but police are asking drivers to avoid the city as well. They've also just sealed off the A501 Euston Road at Eversholt Street. That's right outside King's Cross Station, so that's totally closed off there. And the A5, there's a closure under the Marylebone flyover as well. More closures likely to go in through central London and in the city as well. So just to reiterate on that once again, the tube network's down. Transport for London asking all passengers to avoid the London Underground. Can use your tickets on the London buses, and that's affecting mainline services too. So I'll have the next update for you at 9:50.
And you're listening to the John Gaunt Show, BBC London. It's 13.5 to 10. Travel bulletins every 15 minutes while we've got this, what's been described as a major incident on the tube. All London Underground services at this moment are suspended. Stay tuned to BBC London, your radio station that will keep you informed what's happening. Jackie in Kilburn wants to tell me about what's happening at Edgware. Good morning, Jackie.
Good morning, John.
What can you tell me? Were you there?
Hi. Well, I've been obviously listening to you saying about what's going on down at Liverpool Street, and I heard one of your callers come in and say that he seems to think it's East London affected.
Yes.
I was at the time driving down Park Lane and hearing sirens coming from all directions. Some police bikes went past me, some red police cars went by, an ambulance went by, and I thought, what the hell's going on down here now?
Yeah.
Carried on driving through, I think it's Edgware Road, and what seemed to be up ahead, like one of the side roads closed off, and everyone seemed to be turning into this area. As I passed, there was just police cars, fire engine, ambulances, all down the side road, and I could see...
Heading towards where?
Well, they were outside one of the Edgware Road entrances to the station.
Right.
They all just seemed to be congregating outside one of the Edgware Road, because there's actually two entrances to Edgware Road.
Yeah.
And they were actually outside one of them. And then further down, there was another fire engine and police outside the other entrance. So I don't know whether it's, a sort of knock-on effect coming back to Edgware Road from the sort of King's Cross area.
It does seem, I'm watching TV at the moment, and they are bringing out some casualties at the moment. It would seem as if it's a major incident affecting more than just one tube station from what we've heard so far.
Yeah.
Jackie, thank you for your eyewitness account of that. Keep listening. If you find out any more, see any more, give us a call back. I think we need to go back to Ian Wade in a couple of moments, please. Could you get him back on the line, Abby? Find out what's happening at Liverpool Street now. Let's go to Phil in Kingsway. Good morning, Phil.
Hi, I'm his undercabby. It's chaos everywhere. I just come past Russell Square. They've closed it off.
Slow down, Phil, slow down. Say again, you just came past where?
The Russell Square station. They've closed it all off.
Yeah.
They've cordoned it all off. There's loads of police everywhere. The roads are absolutely jam-packed with people walking everywhere. It's unbelievable. I think it's a major disaster.
Well, let's not speculate at this moment. We know it's a major incident. Have you seen any casualties? Have you seen any effect of this?
No, all I can see is loads and loads of people outside every station and every bus stop.
So
honestly, it's very upsetting. It's what's really going on.
Well, what they've done at the moment is they've closed every single station. I can tell you this now. There's been power surges, and as a result of that, they've closed down the underground completely.
And all you can hear is police cars going with the sirens going.
Yeah, and you're saying it's having a knock-on effect now, obviously, on the roads.
Yeah, everywhere. All you can see is loads and loads of people everywhere. The bus stops are jam-packed with queues. Everybody's fighting for cabs, for getting cars and anything.
OK, Phil, thank you very much indeed for you telling us what's happening where you are. Russell Square, he says. Come on, London cabbies. Come on, white van men. Come on, white van woman. Just tell us what you can see out there at the moment. This is why we have interactive radio like this. Pick up the phone, please, and please tell us. Obviously, a lot of people will be concerned about relatives and friends who might have been travelling this morning. We will keep you informed. And as soon as we know something, we'll tell you. What we will not do on this radio station, let me tell you, is speculate. We will not speculate. A lot of people send me emails with speculation at the moment. Not really helpful. I'd rather you send me an email or a text saying what you've seen, OK? Rather than speculation on what you think it is. 020 722 4200. BBC London's 94.9's Anna O'Neill is at King's Cross. Good morning, Anna.
Extraordinary scenes here, John. We've got so many different members of the emergency services. In fact, a policeman has just come out of King's Cross station now and told the hundreds and hundreds of people milling around outside trying to get somewhere away from King's Cross to move away from the station. They've started to cordon off the area. So I can see fire engines, ambulances, lots and lots of different police cars, police vans, hundreds of policemen and women trying to get people away from the station. And people very, very confused here as to what is actually going on, because we're not being told very much indeed. We were told that there was some kind of a power surge and that we needed to evacuate the station. I've actually seen some people trying to get through to relatives and friends, crying because they don't know what's happened. Obviously, the news is filtering through here that there may be some injuries at Liverpool Street Station. But at the moment, very difficult to know exactly what is going on over there.
Anna, you were on the way into work, were you?
I was on the way into work, yeah, and I had to get off at Finsbury Park Station because we were told that the trains were no longer going down into the city, into Moorgate. We all got changed onto a train at King's Cross. It was delayed for quite a long time, and then when we got into the station, people shouting, "Get out of the station! Get out of the station!" And everybody being told to move. So, and now we're actually being told to move as far away from the station as we possibly can be.
Let me get this clear. Let me get clear. Emergency services are telling you to evacuate not only King's Cross Station but the area to move well away.
Around it. I'm standing in Belgrove Street, which is one of those streets was just between King's Cross and St Pancras if you're looking onto both of those stations. And they're actually cordoning off the area now around King's Cross, and policemen making people move from here down the side streets and as far away from here as possible.
OK. Anna, we will come back to you later. Thank you very much. Anything else you need to tell me before I go?
Nothing really, except that, if you are travelling into London, I wouldn't at this time if I were you, because, it's very difficult to get anywhere, and obviously it could be possibly dangerous for you to do so, so stay away from the area if you can.
Good advice. Stay safe, Anna. We'll speak to you later. Stay there as well. Ian Wade is back. Good morning again, Ian.
Sorry, John, you're going to have trouble hearing me, I think. It's going mad down here.
Don't worry. Just remind us exactly where you are.
I'm actually inside King's Cross Station now. I'm in the casualty room. They've set up one of the ticket booths in the casualty room, and I have to retract what I said earlier, John. Those that are injured are badly injured. There's a lot of blood in here.
And how many people would you say are injured at the moment, my friend?
In this room, I would say there's probably about 30 or 40 people, but as I say, they're very, very badly injured. There's a lot of blood.
If you don't mind me asking, what kind of injuries are you seeing?
A lot of head injuries. Because it's quite warm this time of year, a lot of people have got short sleeve shirts on, so you can see a lot of arms cut up and faces cut up, and there's a lot of tears as well, John.
Okay. And do you know where these people have come from?
The same train that I was on, basically, the train that the actual, I don't know what it was, but there's something here to show what. That's what I've been told. But that train, the actual train itself.
So
I presume, sorry, John, I presume that was at the front of the train, and whatever hit it brought in some windows, because this is definitely glass cut. People are bleeding heavily.
Are they going to evacuate the station?
They have evacuated the station. There's police lines everywhere, but those that are helping out, people like myself who's covered from head to foot in soot, they're actually being, they really are taking care. I can't fault the police or the ambulance department or even London Transport. They're really walking around, making sure everyone's all right, tending to those that are really badly injured. I'm just slightly shaken. You know, I was sitting down anyway, but those standing up, and I presume whatever's come in has come in, i.e. the glass. They are really quite badly injured.
Thank you, Ian. We'll come back to you later. That's Ian Wade live at King's Cross at the moment. Let me just repeat the advice. Please don't come into London at the moment. The whole tube station is down. There has been a major incident. We are not speculating on this radio station. As soon as we get more information, we will bring it to you. And, of course, we'll be speaking to the emergency services. If you're out in town at the moment, if you can tell us what is happening or what you've seen today, please give us a call. Kevin's at Aldgate. Morning, Kevin.
Morning, John.
What would you like to say?
Well, we've been diverted away from Aldgate now, but I saw one gentleman who was a bit dazed and confused, covered in blood. He was actually making his way away from the station, but he was being led back by the police. And there's a lot of emergency people putting on their bright orange chemical suits at the moment, and that's at Aldgate East Station. So
Aldgate East, and they're putting on chemical.
Yeah,
uniform.
a big white lorry, and there was at least 4 guys putting on big orange chemical protection suits.
And have you seen them enter the tube yet?
No, that was actually putting the gear on as I was sat in the traffic, and then we've been moved around by the police, and now I'm going up Commercial Street away from it.
Are you a cab? You're a cabbie, are you?
Yeah.
I understand that is standard practice, I'm being told by my research team. Is standard
hopefully we're right,
Yeah. OK, and anything else you can report at this moment?
No, a lot of confusion. I mean, there's police flying out. I mean, I'm going away from Aldgate at the moment, and there's police going in the opposite. They're going all over the place at the moment, so a lot of confusion.
Kevin, thank you. If you find out any more, see any more on your travels, please call us back. We are relying on you, the black cabbies of London, and, of course, the white van man and white van woman. Tell us what's happening, if you're seeing what's happening. If you were there in any of these incidents, please give us a call. As I say, we're not speculating. What we are telling you, though, is this is a major incident. This is what the emergency services are telling us. We'll keep you informed, of course. That telephone number, if you can help us out with any more information, is 020 722 42000. The email address, Gaunty, that's GAUNTY at bbc.co.uk, and the text number 07786 200 949. If you want to join in, pick up the phone and give us a call. Obviously now, please don't ring up with comments on the Olympics. Please don't ring up with speculation. Please don't ring up using this dreadful incident as a way of berating either Ken Livingstone or indeed the Olympic bid. That would not be appropriate. It would also block our lines. I'd like to keep the lines free, please, for people who can tell us what is happening out in London at the moment. We have obviously, well, as you heard today, we've got reporters out and about who we've sent out. We've also got reporters who are directly involved. Ian Wade, one of our finance people, actually on the train at King's Cross. He was in the dark for 15 minutes. An enormous bang, he said. Then people let out. He said there was no real panic, but people were screaming and people were crying in the dark. He's got out. He's just covered in soot. He's at King's Cross. They've now set up a major incident casualty room in King's Cross ticket office. So he tells us, and he's saying he's seeing a lot of horrific facial and arm injuries. Again, we'll keep you informed of that. Anna O'Neill was on a train as well. She's reported. We've got Jim down at Stratford, but we need you to help us as well. That phone number, 020 722 42000. Colin in Brick Lane. We're going to the travel in a couple of moments. Colin, what would you like to say, please?
Basically, I was working in the ticket office. I was waiting for a colleague to turn up, and basically commenting on the policeman in front of me that they must be bored. 2 minutes later, there was it's like 2 cars going up, like someone, a car hitting the other one up the bum.
Well, that was the kind of sound, was it?
It was that. Basically, that's my first instinct that it was, and then basically smoke poured out of the train.
Yep.
And people just got told to leave the station quickly.
Okay. And have you seen injuries?
No, I didn't see none.
And where are you? Where are you now? You've been evacuated?
Yeah, I've had to leave site because I was installing the phone line.
Sure.
And basically, they just told us to get out, and it was pretty efficient as well. They got everyone out.
Thank you, my friend. If you find out any more, please ring us back. Let's get ourselves a travel update. You're listening to the John Gaunt Show. It's BBC London 94.9, 1.5 minutes to 10.
Thanks, John. Well, after an incident in the city, the tube network, as you've been hearing, has been closed. Stations still in the process of being evacuated. And Transport for London are asking all passengers, obviously, to avoid the London Underground. You can't use it anyway. It's been closed down. But your tickets are being honoured by London buses. It's affecting mainline services too. GNER, Wagon and Thameslink telling me that King's Cross mainline station's been closed off. For the roads, Houndsditch has been sealed off at the A10 Bishopsgate junction. They've just shut the A11 as well. That's Aldgate High Street both ways. At the moment, we're looking at long delays on the approach to the evacuated area. Obviously, the police asking drivers to avoid the city. And it's affecting central London as well. We've got other incidents taking place. The A501 Euston Road is closed at Eversholt Street. That's outside King's Cross Station. We've got a closure as well for the A5 Edgware Road underneath the Marylebone flyover. And actually, the whole of town and the whole of the city really taking the brunt of the closures at the moment. Now, we have got some other news as well. Obviously, Chiltern Railway, the line still closed Denham to Beaconsfield. So you've got services diverting to and from Midlands via Aylesbury, rather. We've also got problems on southeastern trains, Charlton to Blackheath, after a points failure. And elsewhere for the roads, the M11 southbound queuing with the accident between 8 and 7. That's Stansted down to Harlow. A2 East Rochester Way westbound after the earlier accident before Danson. You've got queues on the A2 back to the M25. And the A40 looking a lot busier than usual coming into town as well. That's nasty through Northolt and Greenford. Just to reiterate once again, the tube network has been closed off. Stations being evacuated. Mainline services affected too. King's Cross has been closed off. And you are asked to avoid all the roads around the city as well. Also, obviously, the A501 Euston Road closed outside King's Cross Station. And the A5 Edgware Road is closed under the Marylebone flyover as well. Jules Wilson, BBC London 94.9. The next update's in 15 minutes.
Yes, don't forget travel updates every single 15 minutes. It is a major incident on the tube. A major incident. That's what we're reporting at the moment. Let's get the news now. 1 minute past 10.
BBC London 94.9 FM and BBC Radio London on digital.
On TV, on radio, online.
This is BBC London.
With the 10 o'clock news, I'm Max Rushton. Good morning. And as you've been hearing, TfL are advising people to avoid the entire tube network after a major power failure. British Transport Police say power surge incidents have caused a series of bangs on the London Underground at Aldgate, Edgware Road, King's Cross, Old Street and Russell Square. British Transport Police say a number of people have been hurt, one of them seriously. Eyewitness Steve Neal described the scene at Aldgate East.
I could see people laying outside of the station, obviously black. They just looked black. Covered in smoke, yes. Yeah, they were being treated. I can't tell how many was. I think there was probably 3 or 4 people on the floor being treated. They looked like they were moving.
London Underground has announced it's suspending services. BBC London 94.9's Ian Wade was on the Piccadilly line. He described what happened to John Gaunt.
We had just left King's Cross Station. I'd say we was 200 metres outside of King's Cross, and an almighty bang. Lights went out. Soot filled the actual carriage we was in, and people started screaming and all sorts. And then the emergency electricity come on. We was in the actual carriage about 15 minutes. They started filing us out. They shut the line down, all the electricity, and the officials have walked us down.
And another eyewitness, Tyrone, told John Gaunt what he could see from Liverpool Street.
I was on a train coming into Liverpool Street. I was prevented from getting onto the tube at Tottenham Hale, and we were then told to take the British Rail into Liverpool Street. Time we got to Liverpool Street, there was hundreds of police waiting to greet us. We first of all were asked to hang around at the top of the escalators.
And we'll have more on that as soon as we get it. Elsewhere, the Mayor, Ken Livingstone, says he won't hesitate to use compulsory purchase orders to free up the land in Stratford. He says most of the businesses who need to relocate are happy with what's being offered to them, but there are a few who are making unrealistic demands.
I absolutely make it clear, though, that if a few firms continue to be difficult and don't want to be involved in serious negotiations, we will move very rapidly towards the compulsory purchase procedures that I have. That takes the issue out of my hands, puts it in the hands of an independent arbitrator.
Meanwhile, the Met's gearing up for what will be one of the biggest challenges when London hosts the Games. The police commissioner says he's confident the event will be safe and successful. Sir Ian Blair told BBC London 94.9 his force helped advise Athens and Sydney on their Olympic security, so they have some insight into what challenges lie ahead.
The key issue here is that we have the experience. We know how to police vast crowds. I mean, here we are, just as a simple issue, dealing with Live 8 the other day. Here's 250,000 people being helped through a very exciting night by the Met. No trouble, no arrests, or almost no arrests, and just a very great big friendly event, and that's what the Met's very good at.
President Bush has said it's time to lay plans for tackling climate change that move beyond the Kyoto Agreement, which limits greenhouse gas emissions. He was speaking after a breakfast meeting with Tony Blair at Gleneagles. Climate change tops the agenda at today's G8 talks, but Mr Blair says the summit is not aiming to produce a new treaty. And a British prisoner of war will find out today at the High Court if she's been wrongly denied government compensation because of her race. 81-year-old Diana Elias spent 4 years in a concentration camp in Hong Kong in the Second World War. She had British nationality, but her parents were Indian and Iraqi born. Simon Holford is Mrs Elias's solicitor. He says this is an important test case for others in the same situation.
At least 1,100 people have been refused on the same basis as she has, and that there have been around 2,500 refusals overall. So if we establish that the reason she was refused was an unlawful discriminatory reason, then those other people who've been refused on the same basis will also be eligible.
In the city, the FTSE's down 76 points at 51.53. BBC London 94.9, it's 5 minutes past 10.
This is London's liveliest phone-in with John Gaunt. Call 020 722 42000. Email gaunty@bbc.co.uk. John Gaunt, weekday mornings from 9.
And a very good morning to you. Well, it's not shaping up to such a good morning at the moment with this major incident on the tube. The network has been suspended, this is from London Underground, until further notice, and all stations are now being evacuated. This follows major incidents at Liverpool Street and Edgware Road, that's the Hammersmith and City stations. Emergency services are on site and are working closely with London Underground. That's from London Underground Press Office. British Transport Police spokesperson is informing the BBC that 2 trains remain stuck in tunnels at Edgware Road, but it's not yet known if they have collided or if passengers remain on board. And I quote now, "It's difficult to know exactly what is going on at the moment," he said. The initial report came from Liverpool Street, but there are incidents occurring across the network. He said that officers have been sent into the network to assist with rescue operations, and officers are working at tunnel and platform level to help get people out and to help find out what has happened. We're asking you, if you're an eyewitness, if you've seen what's going on, or if you can see what's going on at the moment, could you please call us? 020 722 42000 is your telephone number if you want to get through to us. We're going to go straight to those calls in a couple of moments. We have got reporters out and about, not because we sent them out necessarily, but because, like you, they were coming to work today and they've been caught up in what is going on at the moment. I was actually at Aldgate Station this morning, this emailer says, when the blast happened. I can't be really sure if it was actually in Aldgate Station or in the tunnel between Aldgate and Liverpool Street, but it wasn't very far away, I can tell you. The sound was deafening, John, and I suppose there were about 100-ish people in the station, as most had already left. There were a lot of smoke appearing at the front of the trains where the tunnel starts towards Liverpool Street, and now there's absolute chaos at Aldgate. I can't call you, John, as I'm at work. I don't want to read the other bit out, if that's okay with you, Richard, but I understand what you're saying. We're not speculating here on BBC London. We are getting a lot of calls as well about an incident on a bus. If you know anything about that, would you give us a call? 020 722 42000 if you can contribute and tell us what is happening out there at the moment. So far, London Ambulance Service spokesman said, "We've just sent some resources out to the scene. We've sent a number of vehicles to Liverpool Street Station. British Transport Police are confirming there's walking wounded, and said paramedics have responded to one report of a person classed as a life at risk." Jacqueline in Liverpool Street was at the station. Morning, Jacqueline.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, what do you want to say?
Sorry?
What would you like to tell me?
I was actually on the platform when there was a big blast behind me, literally a foot or 2 feet away.
Yeah.
I found it at the end of the platform, and then everybody kind of ducked, and the lights went out in the tube, and we had to evacuate.
So you're actually on the train?
I was actually on the platform waiting for the train.
And did you hear the blast?
Yeah, it was actually behind me.
And
that's why my left ear is playing me up at the moment.
Right. And then you were evacuated?
We were, yeah.
Where are you now?
I'm just outside the Liverpool station trying to get home, actually. Phone didn't work, and they said I could go home. So.
Yeah. And have you seen any injuries?
I haven't seen any, no, not today. But there's a lot of police presence. dogs and helicopters around, so and lots of people still.
And obviously you're in a bit of a state of shock at the moment, like the rest of us.
I think I am, actually. My knees trampling still.
Well, that's very understandable, isn't it, Jacqueline? Jacqueline,
It certainly is.
stay safe. Thank you for telling us what happened to you this morning. 020 722 4200. We're going to have a full, detailed travel update in just a few moments with Jules Wilson, our travel editor, so stay tuned for that as well. But just to repeat again, it would appear it wouldn't appear, it's a fact. There's been a major incident on the tube this morning. The whole tube network is closed down. If you were there, if you have an eyewitness report, would you please call us? Please don't call us now with any of the other subjects this morning. Please don't block our lines. Let's keep those free so we can get that news out to people right across town. I'm delighted to say, well, not delighted, but Jules joins us now with a full travel update. Jules, what can you tell us of this moment?
I can tell you of the moment. It's pretty much reiterating what you've just said. I was called by a TfL a while ago. The tube network has been totally closed off. Most stations being evacuated or being evacuated. I know it's small comfort, but you can use your tickets on the London buses, because at the moment we're looking at our traffic cameras, and there are people absolutely everywhere because everyone's been pitched out of the tube stations, so it's a real mess on the roads as well. And actually there are mainline station King's Cross is being closed off. That's GNER, Wagon and Thameslink, so that's been sealed off. Also just been told that First Great Western have suspended theirs between Reading and London Paddington, so nothing coming in on that side from the West Country at the moment. And we've got some problems with road closures as well. They've pretty much sealed off most of the city. They've just closed off the Aldgate one-way system. Houndsditch is already shut at the A10. They've also got that incident for Edgware Road, so they've closed off the A5 under the Marylebone flyover, and they've also closed off the A501, so that's the Euston Road outside King's Cross station, and we can see all that at our cameras at the moment.
I suppose the advice to anybody who's not actually in London at the moment or is at home, who's going to travel into town or travel across town today, is don't.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is, first of all, it was sort of like contained in the city, but as time's gone by, we're getting stuff through from central London as well. I've just been told that Russell Square's been closed off for some reason as well. So,
well, we understand there's an incident there, but again, we're waiting to confirm what that incident is.
But basically, the tube network's shut, and the buses are just, they can't cope at the moment.
And you're going to be giving us travel updates every 15 minutes?
Yeah, we'll have one every 15 minutes.
So that'll be in another 3 or 4 minutes, I guess. OK, and of course we need to hear from people who are out there at the moment who can actually inform us of what's happening. Yeah. Jules, thank you very much.
Thanks,
indeed. If you can inform us of what's going on, the phone number is 020 722 42000. You can email, of course, Gaunty, Gaunty, at bbc.co.uk, or you can text me 07786 200 949, 07786 200 949. As I said before, please, we do not want speculation this morning. We just want your eyewitness reports. Right, over to Pete Wilson. He joins us in the studio. He can give us an update on what's occurring. It's 12 minutes past 10. Good morning again, Peter.
Good morning. Just to update you, really keeping on this line of the speculation and trying to shut some of this stuff out. We've been in touch again with Scotland Yard about these reports of an incident down at Russell Square.
Russell Square has been closed, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. That's been shut off. Like most of the tube stations now, you just don't travel on them at all. You can't manage to get through on them. A spokesperson has told us that the police are now down there trying to establish what has happened. They are saying, yes, there has been some kind of incident, but we don't know what that is just yet. Now, I know that you're going to be talking very shortly, hopefully, to a BBC reporter who's down there. We've also got a report come through from the National Grid. They supply the power to the underground. Now, there's this stuff about power surges and things like that. At the moment, they're saying they have no reported problems that would have caused anything this morning. So they're trying to figure out exactly what the state of play is with the electricals as well. So once we figure out exactly what they've got to say, we'll try and get that to you.
Are we any further ahead or any more informed about casualties at this moment?
At the moment, yeah, we are being told that there are casualties that are being taken around London now. We've got one reporter who's outside the Royal London Hospital, and they're saying it looks as if they're certainly preparing to take ambulances through there.
Yeah, and of course Ian Wade told us at King's Cross they've already set up a sort of temporary emergency casualty department in the ticket office there, and he, with his own eyes, has seen some quite horrific injuries at the moment.
There seems to be quite a few people that have been hurt. Again, it's the detail that we haven't got yet. We don't know how serious some of these are. Obviously, if you are hurt and if you're walking out, it's going to look bad straight off.
So where do we think the incidents have occurred? We know they've occurred at Liverpool Street.
Well, we know that there's something between Aldgate and Liverpool Street. That's what they were first called to. We're now checking Russell Square. There's different reports that there could have been something at Euston, but again, we're waiting for somebody to talk to us about that one. We've also checking reports now about the Edgware area. that there may have been something around there. But again, it's all checking to see exactly what has caused these first before we can manage to get too much information about them on air. But at the minute, the police are saying that they are getting their staff there as soon as possible. London Underground and British Transport Police have both said that as soon as they have somebody who can talk to you, they'll be on air trying to explain
They have
the situation.
many more important things to do than to talk to a radio station at the
right
moment.
now, they're a little bit tied up, to say the least, so they're trying to sort that out first.
OK, thank you very much indeed. And of course, we're dispatching our reporters right across town at the moment. We've got somebody down at Liverpool Street, and we'll go back to them as soon as we possibly can. If you can tell us what is going on, I'd say it must be that you can tell us you've actually seen. We're getting a lot of calls with speculation, and I'm sure you agree with me that speculation is not going to be helpful at this point. What we do know is there's a major incident on the tubes. What we do know is that there are casualties at Liverpool Street, and what we do know is that the tube system has been completely closed down. Power surges is what we're being told at the moment. As soon as we know and we can confirm and tell you more, we will. Amy's in Euston, first time caller. Good morning, Amy.
Hi.
You were on a train. Where were you?
Yeah, I was on the Piccadilly line train at King's Cross.
Right.
And I was in the very last carriage of the train. And there was just a very big bang. I mean, I've heard that they were explaining it as maybe being a light falling on the train, but it was too big a bang to have been that. It sounded like an explosion.
What happened to the train? Did it rock? Did it move?
It actually looked like the window was going to blow in, but somehow it managed to stay in position, but it definitely moved. And then just the train stopped and started filling up with smoke. And obviously people started to panic because they didn't know what was going on. I heard some guy saying the lights are out, but fortunately in our carriage we at least had lights on.
Yeah. Did you have to evacuate and walk up the track?
Nobody really knew what to do. That was the thing. It's you always sort of hear about these sort of situations, but you don't really know. I mean, people wanting to get out of the tracks, and I was saying, well, no, because they're live and we don't know whether they've been switched off or not. And
were you in the dark?
Eventually, I think 3 people got out and started walking back. And then eventually the police came and told us to get out and that the lines had all been switched off and it was safe to get out.
And you're now at Euston. Did you walk along to Euston?
I actually managed to get on a bus to get to Euston, and just walking around dazed because there was about 500 people queuing for taxis.
And is Euston...
I got on a bus and sat at Euston Station on the bus that wasn't moving for about half an hour. And actually while we were there was another big bang, which may have been what happened at Russell Square.
And where are you now?
I'm on Eversholt Street on the bus.
And the bus that you're trying to get home, where are you trying to get to?
I live in Haringey.
Amy, anything else you can tell me at this moment?
Not really. I've just been listening to your show to hear what other people have got to say and to find out what's going on as well, so I thought I'd contribute with my bit.
Well, you have contributed, and I'm sure if you keep listening to us, we'll try and get you the information when it happens. Amy, thank you ever so much for taking the time to ring me. 17 minutes past 10, we'll get a full travel update now. It's 17 minutes past 10, full travel update. We're doing travel updates every 15 minutes here on BBC London, right through the day. And if we need extra travel, we will. We don't need to worry about the jingle. Let's just go over to the travel desk if we possibly can. You're listening to The John Gaunt Show. This is BBC London 94.9. If you can help us, the telephone number is 020 722 42000. Over to John.
On 94.9 FM, this is BBC London.
Well, thanks, John. As you all know, the incidents this morning mean the entire tube network has been closed. There are no services running. All lines are suspended. And passengers are advised to stay clear of the London Underground for the time being. Tickets are being accepted on buses, but obviously traffic around London is starting to look really nasty. Loads of congestion around, which buses are getting stuck in as well, so watch out for that too. It's also having problems for overground trains into London. GNR and wagon trains obviously not going down to King's Cross because King's Cross station is closed. Wagon and Thameslink trains also disrupted, and C2C trains are disrupted into Fenchurch Street as well. Silverlink Metro, they're disrupted Richmond to North Woolwich, and also First Great Western and First Great Western Link trains are now suspended between Reading and Paddington due to this as well. Now, it's had an impact for the roads. There are loads of people obviously outside stations, so they've had to close some roads off as well. Obviously quite a lot of emergency services around too, so Edgware Road closed at Marble Arch northbound, and also from the Marylebone flyover, it's closed southbound, so no traffic's getting down the A5 at the moment. Russell Square is closed around the Aldgate one-way system in the city. St Botolph Street is closed at Houndsditch. Houndsditch is closed, and the Aldgate one-way system has now been completely closed off to traffic with diversions via Lehman Street. The traffic situation obviously compounded there by roadworks taking place as well. We've also got Euston Road, the A501, closed both ways just outside Euston between Eversholt Street and York Way, and they look like they're closing in other places on Euston Road as well, but we will keep you updated.
It's 19 minutes past 10. You're listening to the John Gaunt Show, BBC London 94.9. Let's go back to our reporter, Anna O'Neill, who's at King's Cross. Good morning, Anna.
Good morning, John. I've got some rather grim news to tell you, John. I've just been speaking to a number of people here, eyewitnesses to what's been going on in and around the streets around King's Cross and Euston. And one man has actually shown myself some footage that he recorded on his mobile phone of a bus exploding a few streets away, just near to Euston Station, and some very devastating scenes there. Looks like people lying on the floor. Couldn't tell you exactly what kind of injuries they've got, but lying motionless on the floor. I've also been speaking to another man evacuated in the last few minutes from King's Cross Station, who heard an explosion and then saw lots of people coming out of the tube, covered in soot, some of them covered in blood. So we are not sure yet whether it is still this power surge that we were all hearing about this morning, or in fact whether something more sinister is going on around here this morning.
But let's not speculate on that at the moment. Just tell me about the bus. The bus was in Russell Square, I believe?
I'm not entirely sure. The man himself wasn't sure, but he because he, as you can imagine, he was quite shocked and dazed about what he'd seen. He was basically walking down the road and he saw the back of the bus explode. He filmed footage of it on his mobile phone. He actually spent some time in Israel and said that he thought that it was very similar to scenes that he'd witnessed while he'd been living over there, and it's kind of brought him right back to those times. So, as you say, we can't speculate at the moment.
Let me just clarify, the footage you saw, what did you see on the footage? Do you actually see the bus exploding?
You could see the back of the bus, which had all sort of smoke and flames coming out of it. Obviously, he hadn't actually captured the moment that the bus exploded. No. What he captured was the seconds after that bus had exploded. And as he gets nearer, you can see people lying on the floor and the bus basically in tatters.
And it was a double-decker bus?
It looked like a single-decker, but
hard to tell. Had he seen people injured, and indeed have you?
Well, I haven't seen anybody injured at the moment. We're still staying because we've been told by the police not to move from this area directly in front of King's Cross Station. He has seen people injured. He said people lying, at least a handful of people lying motionless on the floor, covered in blood, serious injuries. He couldn't tell how serious, obviously, because he didn't want to get too close. But some quite grim news from around King's Cross and Euston this morning, John.
But at the moment you've been told you cannot move from that area.
We've been told that we need to stay away from the main area of King's Cross and go down the side streets. Now, lots of people are milling around the side streets here, and of course, people hanging around because they don't know where to go or what to do. I mean, I must say that the atmosphere, though, is not one of panic, and in fact, a couple of people have said that to me, that they've been very surprised at how calm everybody's being. Everybody's behaving extremely sensibly, but the advice would be do not come into central London today if you don't have to, because as I said before, you won't be able to get anywhere, and unfortunately it looks like at the moment it may even be dangerous for people to be coming into the centre, so stay away if you can for the moment.
Okay, and I think we'll leave it there, Anna, unless you've got anything else to tell us at this point.
No, I'll keep you updated as and when we find out what's happening, John.
Thank you very much indeed. That's Anna O'Neill, who's at King's Cross. She says she's seen somebody's video phone of a bus that has been destroyed, and we believe that to be in Russell Square. At the moment, people are being told to keep clear of King's Cross. Obviously, on the roads at the moment, complete and utter gridlock. The only advice we can give you is please do not travel this morning. Do not travel. Stay at home or stay at work. Do not travel. Steve in Marylebone can talk to us now. Good morning, Steve.
Hello, John.
What have you seen, my friend?
Are
you a London?
John, excuse me. Around about, I suppose, 9:45.
Yeah.
I was on Woburn Place near Tavistock Square.
Yeah.
And there was around about, I suppose, 6 vehicles in front of me, just a line of buses, and then bang, you see the explosion. Don't know what caused it. You just see like either a side of the building fly across the road,
or as people have been saying, the sign of a bus.
How far were you from the incident, would you
Probably
say?
around about no more than 50 metres.
And you're a cabbie, obviously, you can hear the meter in the background. What else did you see after that?
Just chaos. People running across the square, kids on the floor crying, people just cowering in the corners, and just basically havoc, really.
Where are you now?
Right, I'm on the Marylebone Road trying to get out west, going to see the wife and the kids.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you for your witness account. Again, we don't want people phoning up and speculating or saying, I've heard this or I heard that. We want to hear from you. All we want you to do is say, John, I saw this or I saw that. That's what we need at the moment, please. It is a major incident. It's obviously shaping up into a massive incident here. Pete Wilson can tell us more. Pete.
We've gone through, obviously, the idea of speculation. We're now getting some hard lines through from Scotland Yard. They've said that they have received reports of multiple explosions. It's the first time they've called them that so far this morning. Multiple explosions across London. We haven't got the details yet. That's the first line that's come out. We're waiting. We've been told that in the next 10 to 15 minutes we'll get a full release from them as to what this is.
A multiple explosion, what does that mean?
It could effectively mean, well, pretty much anything at the moment. Obviously, we'll get the full details through as and when they manage to release them to us. What we're trying to figure out, it now looks as if there is some kind of pattern, some kind of link as to what has happened across London this morning, and that's what they're trying to establish as well.
Pete, thank you. Keep us informed as soon as you can. It's BBC London 94.9. It is London's radio station. On a day when we were starting off jovial, having such a laugh this morning with Joanne Good about the Olympics, and we were just going to talk about the Olympics and talk about what a great city this is. Unfortunately, it's turned into something else. But this is where we, the BBC, rely on you. We'll keep you informed. You keep us informed. It's an horrific day for London. There's no two ways about it. It's an horrific day for London. But we will not speculate. We will bring you the facts as we establish those facts. We will not speculate. And we don't want you to speculate. But we do want you to tell us what you've seen. John in Farnham Square. Good morning, John. Good morning, John. Line 2. We seem to have lost him. Can you get him back for me? Thank you. 26 minutes past 10. If you want to join in, please pick up the phone and give us a call. We do need you to join in and tell us what's happening. 020 722 4200. As soon as we get any more information in terms of casualties or any more information on what is actually happening either from the Met, from Transport for London, London Underground, or the emergency services in general, we'll, of course, bring that information to you. Let's go to Latia, is it, in Liverpool Street? Good morning.
Good morning.
What would you like to tell me?
Just I was on the train, and probably the carriage next door to where it happened. There was just a big explosion, and all the lights in the carriage went out, and then there was grey dust falling everywhere. We didn't know originally what had happened. We saw orange light, which we thought was flames, or I don't know, but we didn't know at that point, certainly. Everybody stayed pretty calm, and we tried to, we couldn't open the doors, couldn't open the windows, we just stayed put, we couldn't move, we were all standing in the train. And eventually, I guess, we saw people on the track, and then they opened the front doors where the driver sits.
Yeah.
And they walked us all down through the carriages and out onto the track. Before that, they brought all the walking wounded back. They did say there were a lot of people who were very badly injured. And then they brought the walking wounded through us. Everybody made way for them. We walked back on the track, and then we had to walk back to Aldgate Tube Station.
Sure, these people must have been in carriages behind you then, or in front of you?
They were in the front carriages going into Aldgate, but it was in the front, behind us, if you like, the front carriages. And then when we were walking along the track, obviously we saw the full extent of the damage. And it was, it looked like, the whole carriage had blown open, and they were still rescuing people, and there were bodies, well, that's it really, I guess.
Latoya, where are you now, and where are you going to now?
I'm at Liverpool Street Station, and I'm just going to go to work for now and sit down and have a cup of coffee, and then I'll see what I'm going to do for the rest of the day.
Joking aside, have some coffee, have some sugar in it, just calm down, stay safe, won't you?
Okay. Thanks very much.
Bye-bye. 020 722 4200. Pete Wilson's back in the studio. Pete, what can you tell us now, please?
OK, this is the full report that's come from the Met so far. We've got this through from Scotland Yard in the last 2 minutes. At approximately 10 to 9 this morning, police were called to Aldgate Station to assist the City of London Police and British Transport Police regarding an incident on the underground system. All of the emergency services are currently at the scene, and it has been declared as a major incident. It's too early at this stage to state what has happened. There are further reports from multiple locations in London of explosions. Again, too early to say what has caused these explosions. Here's a list so far. Police are responding to reports from Edgware Road, King's Cross, Liverpool Street, Russell Square, Aldgate Street and Moorgate Underground stations. Added to this, there has been confirmed explosion of a bus on Tavistock Place. The Metropolitan Police Service, British Transport Police, City of London Police are working together to ensure officers are deployed to each scene. There have been reports of numerous casualties, but again, it is too early to say the numbers at this stage. So that's the statement that's come through in the last 2
And every word that you just said then was official from...
That is straight from the Metropolitan Police this morning.
Thank you. Anything else to tell me at this moment?
So far, we're trying to get in touch with our reporter down at the Royal London Hospital at the moment. He's already called in to say that he has seen casualties being taken in there. We'll try and get a quick hit with him as well. Try and talk to him in the next few minutes.
But exactly the same situation, exactly the same advice. Stay at home, stay in the office,
stay
don't
away.
Travel.
And the other advices as well, which I suppose is a common, but I know you've been putting this message out. If you have loved ones who know that you're coming into the city, if you're safe, it's probably worth telling them, because let's face it, everybody's going to be concentrating on this one too.
I've just tried to phone my wife actually, and a lot of the mobile systems are down.
A lot of the networks are
at
struggling.
the moment, but we shall, of course, again, we'll keep people informed of that as well.
But
we must say at the moment, please keep the phone lines free. The phone lines now, please only ring us if you've got something you can tell us. Let's go live now, straight to Martin Edwards, who's at Royal London Hospital in Whitechapel. Good morning, Martin.
Hello, John.
What can you tell us?
Well, as you say, I'm at Royal London Hospital, which is on Whitechapel Road. It's about half a mile from Aldgate East Station. Now, they've evidently closed off the A&E entrance. They've closed it to the general public. People are being asked to go through. People want to go through. They're being told they can't. It looks as if they've used that entrance, dedicated it to people coming in from this major incident. Now, I've seen people, several people have been, as you would describe, as walking wounded. I've seen quite a few others, maybe 3 or 4, possibly more, who've been coming in on stretchers. Now, whether they're coming in from the incident, it's difficult to say, but there may well be some link. There's quite a lot of ambulance activity. Ambulances coming in and out. There's air ambulance on the scene. It's quite a hive of activity, really.
How many casualties have you seen been taken into the hospital?
I've been standing out there for maybe 20 minutes. I've seen about 10. I've seen men with blood coming down their faces. I've seen, as I say, in the distance, I've seen people being taken off ambulances on stretchers, and obviously they're clearly seriously wounded.
Anything else to tell me at this moment, Martin?
Not at the moment. I'm on site. I'm going to give you more information as soon as I get it.
Martin, thank you. Martin Edwards, one of our reporters at the Royal London Hospital in Whitechapel. The time now, 29 minutes to 11. We're going to have a full news headlines, full travel update. Don't forget, here at BBC London 94.9, we're going to bring you the travel every 15 minutes. But the advice, stay at home or stay at work. Here's the headlines.
On 94.9 FM. BBC London.
With a summary, I'm Max Rushton. Good morning. The Metropolitan Police say there have been explosions in multiple locations in London. It's too early to say what's caused these explosions. There were a series of bangs on London Underground stations. A number of tube stations have been evacuated. The first report was at Liverpool Street Station earlier this morning. London Underground has confirmed incidents at 5 other stations: Aldgate, Edgware Road, King's Cross, Russell Square and Moorgate. There are reports of serious injuries and a number of casualties. In the last few moments, there's been confirmed reports of an explosion involving a bus on Tavistock Square. Passengers are being told that all services are being suspended. The National Grid say they haven't found any problems that would have caused a power failure. The advice for all passengers is not to travel. That's the summary. There'll be a full bulletin at 11.
On 94.9 FM, this is BBC London.
Well, as you all know, following the incidents this morning, the tube network has now been closed. No service are running on any lines. Passengers are advised to avoid the London Underground for the time being. GNR, Wagon, Thameslink trains all disrupted heading down into King's Cross because King's Cross station is closed. C2C trains affected into Fenchurch Street, and Silverlink Metro trains also affected heading down into London. Now, First Great Western and First Great Western Link trains have been suspended now between Reading and Paddington, so you've got no trains coming into Paddington either. It's also having an impact for the road as well. Euston Road, the A501, is closed in both directions between Eversholt Street and York Way. So all approaches to the A501 really suffering with diverted traffic. Obviously, everyone's trying to get away as soon as possible around the roads to try and get onto a free road, and there aren't many about at the moment. Marble Arch looking very busy at the moment. We've got Edgware Road A5 closed northbound at the Marylebone flyover, and southbound also closed on the approach. Russell Square is closed, Tavistock Place and roads surrounding Tavistock Place have been closed. And around the city, St Botolph Street, the A11, the Aldgate one-way system completely closed off. All entrances to the Aldgate one-way system, no traffic's getting through. Southbound traffic's being diverted via Lehman Street, which is diverted onto Dock Street. Now, westbound traffic is diverted onto the highway. However, the highway has now been closed at the junction with East Smithfield. Houndsditch also closed at the A10 Bishopsgate. Kate Allen, BBC London 94.9. Next update just before 11:15.
This is BBC London. John Gord's. Call 020 722 42000. London's liveliest phone-in with John Gord's. Weekday mornings from 9.
Let's go straight to your calls. Robin in Belsize Park, I understand you were a witness to the bus incident. What can you tell us, my friend?
Basically...
Oh, sorry, Robin, I didn't realise it was a lady.
It's okay. I was in a car going towards Liverpool Street Station, as hadn't heard there was problems there this morning.
Yeah.
And had just turned into Tavistock Square and was about a block away and saw the bus and then, of course, heard the explosion. And so, of course, people running and a number of wounded people. And had only on the car services radio had heard maybe half a minute before that he thought there had been a bomb at Euston Station, and so of course it was a fairly large shock to see the bus then explode right in front of me.
Hold on. Let me just get this clear in my head, Robin. You thought there'd been an incident at Euston, but then you actually saw the bus explode?
That's right.
This is awful to ask you this. Tell me what you saw.
Well, sitting in the car and, of course, the debris of the bus raining down onto the car that I was sitting in, and had my 15-month-old daughter with me, so, of course, my first response is to try to cover her,
yeah.
And, of course, praying that nothing's going to, seriously damage the car that we're in. But then, of course, seeing the people in the road and, of course, quite a bit of carnage, I suppose, and blood. And
how far away were you from it, Robin?
Perhaps a block, if that. There were 3 or 4 cars in front of us, and between us and the bus, we were perpendicular with the road, the Tavistock Street that the bus was on.
After the debris stopped falling, what did you do?
Well, as I said, I was supposed to be going to Liverpool Street Station, and the driver asked, "Do you still want to go?" And I said, "No, perhaps not." And so he turned the car around and headed straight home, of course, trying to avoid people in traffic as much as possible.
Did you see any casualties?
Other than the people that I saw on the road, no, I didn't see anyone that was as I've heard other people describe, walking wounded.
And you're at home now?
I am at home now.
How's the child?
She's fine. She was, of course, extremely frightened by the explosion, but of course didn't understand anything else that was happening. So she's fine, and we're fine, and I'm just, I suppose, in a state of shock.
Of course. I think, Robin, to be straight, we all are this morning. Robin, thank you ever so much for phoning. Thank you.
Sure. God bless.
Look after yourself. God bless you too. Dear John, I work near the London Hospital, Whitechapel. The road opposite the hospital is closed. I've seen 2 ambulances come into the hospital from which looks like the Aldgate. Loads of people everywhere. Had 2 reporters in to use my landline. Seems mobile phone networks now are jammed. Regards, Zoof. Thank you, Zoof. If you want to email me, it's gaunty@bbc.co.uk. If you want to text me, it's 07786 200 949. We've now had it confirmed by the Met that there's been explosions. No more than that. We should know more in about the next 5 or 10 minutes. I'm asking for your calls because we're asking for eyewitness reports of what had happened. I don't know about you. What Robin just said was extremely moving. Richard Foster, one of our other reporters, is down at Liverpool Street. Good morning, Richard.
Morning, John.
What would you like to say?
Well, at the moment I'm standing at the junction of Liverpool Street and Bishopsgate. This is an area now which has been sealed off for some time. As you heard Melita there, around about 10 or 15 minutes ago on the programme, giving that harrowing eyewitness account of what actually happened here. What I understand from Transport for London at the moment is that they are dealing with, quote, 2 major incidents. One at Liverpool Street and one at Edgware Road. Just some more police vehicles there passing me by. At the moment, obviously, that's caused that huge power cut we've seen on the tube this morning, and the whole tube is suspended as we speak.
What can you see now? Can you see casualties? Can you see the emergency services?
I haven't seen any casualties myself. However, when I arrived here about 20 minutes, half an hour ago, there were about 3 ambulances and a couple of police cars. There are still plenty of police on the scene down here. I can count around about, just a block away, there are at least 10 or 12, and here there are another 6 or 7. Also here, the assembled media, we're all getting together. Hopefully there'll be some sort of statement from Transport for London within the next few minutes, and we should be able to bring you that very soon.
Thank you very much indeed, Richard. Come back to me later. Shep is in Russell Square, a witness, I understand, to the bus incident. Is that correct, Shep?
Oh, John, it's absolute mayhem down here, mate. I've just been told to get out of the square. I'll put my foot down. I'm in a cab. I've got down and got away as quick as I could, but we're just being told now there's been another two buses blowing up somewhere. There's a major incident. 4 incident units just gone past. It's an absolute nightmare. There's people just running everywhere, mate.
Shep, did you actually see the explosion?
No, it was behind me just as it happened, John. I'll see it in my rearview mirror, but it was just an absolute nightmare, and we just got out. It's just eerie, John. Really, really eerie.
Are you a cabbie?
Yeah, I am, John. I've just picked a lady up who's just going home and get away now, going down to Ladywell. But if anyone's trying to get anywhere, just don't be in a rush today. Don't snap at anyone. Just, everyone just chill out and let's everybody help each other today.
Thank you, Shep. Look after yourself, my friend. Take that lady home. Pete Wilson's back in the studio with some more updates for us. Good morning.
Good morning. I know you're actually getting a lot of the eyewitness reports, but I thought I'd just come in and tell you what I'm getting from each part at the minute, what I'm finding out.
Yes,
and the main one at the minute is Edgware Road. The area has now been completely cordoned off. Walking wounded are coming out from the station and they're being taken. They've set up...
Sorry, Peter, repeat that. Where's this?
Edgware Road Station.
Right, I do apologise.
Right.
If I don't understand, people might not understand.
That's absolutely fine.
Just trying to get it clear in my brain. Go on.
Now, Edgware Road itself is effectively closed off.
Right.
All the roads around there have been closed off as well. It's only emergency services that are trying to get through there. Now, what they have done is kind of set up a makeshift emergency centre, which is at the Hilton London Metropole, just opposite the station, so it's quite clear they're coming across to there. We've been told that on some occasions it's taken 25 minutes to get out of some of the carriages and get up. Now, what's actually happening is that the people coming out of the carriages are then seeing some of the stuff that's happened nearby, and they're managing to tell us what's going on as well. Some of it is looking as if there's been quite substantial damage done to some of the other carriages, but again, what we haven't got at the minute is any figures telling us what's happening. As you can probably imagine, the politicians have also been alerted to the situation. It's already been gone through the House of Commons. The Leader of the House, Jeff Hoon, has told the Commons that the explosions have happened. The government is to make a statement, we think, within the next 20 minutes.
And no doubt we'll take that live.
We will try and make sure as to what that's going to be. At the moment, we've been told it may well be a written statement. It may well just be a press release. But as soon as I get that, I will bring it to you. I know as well the travel girls are working hard and making sure that everybody knows. But just so you know, the mainline services are being stopped before coming into London. So there will be no trains running in and out of London, at least for today, is what we're being told. Aldgate as well has been sealed off, a lot of the area around there, down to Liverpool Street Station. Again, eyewitnesses are telling us that some of the carriages have been severely damaged, with some of the roofs being blown off. Again, no figures on that one at the moment. The advice at the moment that we are getting is that London Ambulance Service are trying to get these figures, but obviously, as we said quite a few times already this morning, they are busy and they've got other things that they should be and will be doing. And the other report as well is coming from Glen Eagles. The Prime Minister has been told of the situation. However, at the moment, there's no plan that he's going to come down towards London, but obviously he's evaluating the situation. That may well move over time.
No more news from the Met?
No more from the Met at the moment. The statement that they've issued to us that I read out earlier on about the places like King's Cross, Liverpool Street, Aldgate, those are the places, Moorgate Station. We're also investigating further reports we're getting of explosions in some of the buses, but again, those haven't been confirmed. We're trying to make sure as to what those are.
At the moment, we can only confirm one,
which is the one at Tavistock Place there was an explosion involved there. We're also getting different reports. The RMT union have been in touch with us and told us that they have received reports about the explosions. They got it as well, the same way as the Met told us that there were reports of explosions at a number of underground stations across London. So as soon as we get the information through a bit further, we'll let you know.
Stay there for a moment, Pete. Let's just go to Jim Weeble at Edgware Road. Good morning, Jim.
Hi, John. I'm actually at Aldgate.
I do apologise.
I was on my way to Edgware. Traffic was just so bad, couldn't get there. The closest I could get was Aldgate. The situation here, is equally grim as what I'm hearing from elsewhere across London. I was driving down towards Aldgate, past the Royal London Hospital, and literally ambulance after ambulance really passing me by, going into the Royal London. Eventually I managed to park up. I've just walked down. I mean, this whole area is cordoned off, by the way. The whole of the Aldgate roundabout and the Aldgate East tube station is all cordoned off and traffic is being diverted around. Managed to get myself to the other side of the Aldgate roundabout, where it seems the main incident occurred, and one of the journalists actually managed to, because there's a bank of journalists who are already there, managed to talk to someone earlier on who was in the building above Aldgate tube station. Now, this is a substantial office block. It's not just some kind of shop. This is a substantial office block, about 6 or 7 stories high, and he said the whole building shook. That was the words that she quoted him as saying. The whole building shook. Black smoke billowing out of Aldgate East tube station. I've had reports that there are 2 trains still stuck in the tunnel between Aldgate East and Liverpool Street. I mean, that we can't confirm that.
Hold on, let's just see if Pete can confirm that.
Yeah, actually, Jim, I've been told as well that it is a situation like that the trains are still down there. What they have managed to do is get a lot of the people at least off the carriages, and they've walked down the track and got back up to off the underground station.
Anything else, Jim, before we go to a travel bulletin?
Just very quickly, I mean, the eyewitness that was spoken to mentioned how he saw some people coming up from the tube station soon after the black smoke was appearing. About 6 or 7 was the number he saw at first, covered in soot, also blood as well on their bodies and covered in grease. I mean, he did say that there was an air of calmness about it, but from what I can make out, I think that was more to do with the fact that they were probably slightly traumatised by what they'd seen, and that was the way that they were described as well by this chap. So I shall try and find out a few more details for you later, John.
Thank you very much indeed. Let me just tell you that London Ambulance Service is saying we're working with the other emergency services. We're doing all we can to get casualties to safety, ensure they get the medical help they need as quickly as possible. But due to current levels of demand, we will, until further notice, only be sending ambulances to patients across the capital with life-threatening illnesses or injuries. As an example of this, people who have difficulty in breathing or persistent chest pains, those who have stopped breathing or have received traumatic injuries. This will enable us to focus on treating the large numbers of casualties at the scene. We would urge callers with minor injuries or illnesses to think about using other healthcare options. For example, visit their local pharmacist or walk-in centre, or call NHS Direct for advice. If people need to go to hospital, they should use other modes of transport. Call a taxi or get a lift with a friend or a family member. 14 minutes to 11. This is the John Gaunt Show, BBC London 94.9. I can tell you now the BBC are reporting that police say there have been 3 bus explosions. We'll go live to Victoria and speak to Michaela Howard just after this news bulletin. Let's travel
on 94.9 FM. This is BBC London.
Thanks, John Moore. Police are still saying avoid central London if you can. Best advice, really, if you haven't left, is to stay at home. All tube lines are suspended. All stations are closed at the moment. It's also affecting overground trains into the capital as well. GNER, Wagon and Thameslink trains not getting down into King's Cross, obviously. C2C trains disrupted into Fenchurch Street. Silverlink Metro, Silverlink County. Also, First Great Western and First Great Western Link trains are suspended between Reading and Paddington so we've got no trains coming in from the west towards Paddington either. Now, on the roads, we've also got quite a few road closures. The A501 Euston Road is closed at various different points, the main closure being between Eversholt Street and York Way, so just outside King's Cross Station. We've also got a closure in outside Euston Station at Judge Street. Edgware Road, that's closed at Marble Arch northbound and at Marylebone Flyover southbound. No traffic's getting through there. Russell Square closed, Tavistock Place and all surrounding routes are closed. We've got the Aldgate one-way system, as you just heard there. We've got the whole of the one-way system closed off to traffic. The A11 Houndsditch, all approaches too. Police have opened Mansell Street, but it looks like they're just trying to alleviate the traffic flow at the moment, so best advice is to steer clear. We've got traffic on Lehman Street being diverted into Dock Street. The highway is now also closed at the junction of East Smithfield, so it's kind of having an impact for all traffic heading out towards East London as well. So basically, if you can avoid central London, best doing so on public transport and in your car as well. Kate Allen, BBC London 94.9. Next update just before 11.
12 minutes to 11. You're listening to John Gaunt Show on a day when we should be celebrating our wonderful Olympic victory. We're faced with this major incident right across London. Major incidents, explosions. 3 buses now confirmed have had an explosion on them. We want to hear from you if you were there. We don't want speculation. We don't want my mates just told me this, because we actually need you to tell us what happens. And if you've got any of this on your mobile phone, like we just heard from a caller a few moments ago, we would like you to send that to us as well for our TV station tonight. Michaela Howard, another one of our reporters, she's in Victoria. Good morning, Michaela.
Hi there, John. Yes, I am in Victoria. Basically, the situation outside here is that the buses, people have been told not to travel on the buses. The buses have stopped completely. I saw it as I was coming in from South London as well. People were getting to stops and they were just being chucked off all the buses. The overland is still coming into Victoria, so people are still coming here. I've just seen a whole pile of trains just arrive. And so they've got nowhere to go except for to walk. There are lots and lots of TfL people outside advising people where to go and which directions to go. The queue for the taxis, as you can imagine, is really, really, really long as people try and get away from Victoria. The mobile phones, as you were talking about earlier, I've actually had to come into a shop and borrow their phone. There are no service here. There are queues and queues and queues for the phones here at Victoria, with people trying to phone home to tell people that they are safe.
Of course.
But basically that's the situation here. It seems to be a bit of a logjam here with people arriving and then got nowhere else to go on public transport.
Anything else to tell me at this moment?
No, I haven't, John.
Michaela, we'll return to you later in the programme. Thank you very much indeed. Donna's in Poplar, was actually on the tube. Good morning, Donna.
Morning.
Where were you? What can you tell me?
I was on the carriage behind, the carriage in front of me, that's the one that blew up.
At Liverpool Street?
At Liverpool Street, yeah, between Liverpool Street and Aldgate East, and it was not a power surge, because a power surge cannot blow off train doors.
Tell me what you saw.
Because when I was on the train, then it just felt as if it just hit something, because it just stopped, and then our carriage started filling up with smoke. And then it felt as if the train had literally lifted up from the track and then dropped back down.
What, you felt the train move up in the air?
Yes, because I was actually on the train. And then the people in the carriage in front of us, they started to open the door and try to come through, because that is the one that got blown up, because I'm covered in all soot at the moment.
Yeah.
And then you started seeing the people coming through that was all bloodied. Had blood running all the way down their face. And they're trying to open up the doors, but we couldn't get the doors open. Then eventually they managed to open the door. We started walking through to the back of the train. And the police and all them came and said to walk to the back of the train, where they helped us off.
Were the lights on at the time or off?
Some of the carriage had lights and some of the carriage lights were off.
Were people panicking? I guess they were.
Well, the one in front of me, I could hear a woman screaming because she started to freak out. She just started screaming. And then someone had the asthma attack on the train as well. And then when we got off, we had to walk back up, so we had to walk past where we saw the carriage that had blown off. And 2 of the doors had blown off. There was even dead bodies on the track.
Hold on a minute. You saw what you believed to be dead bodies on the track?
Yes, it was. I had to, literally, the woman was about a couple of meters away from me, because we had to walk past them to go up to come out at Aldgate train station. There was, because I know I saw a dead woman, because she had on a skirt and she was all black and twisted up, and that was just outside the carriage where you could see the train doors had blown off.
What state was that carriage in? You said the doors were blown off.
It was mangled. It was all black. All the windows had blown out. It was mangled.
Okay.
And it wasn't the front of the train, it was in the middle.
And how long did it take you to walk out?
It took me about 35 minutes to actually get off the train to get out at Aldgate. And when I got out at Aldgate, that's when they was attending to all the bloody people just directly outside the train station.
Any injuries to yourself?
No, I'm just, because the carriage that I was in, that one just got filled with smoke, so I'm only black.
Is
I
it?
just got covered in soot, that's
Sure.
all.
Anything else to tell me at this point, Donna?
No, but all I know is that if they say it's a power surge, that is rubbish. Because a power surge cannot do that to a train.
Donna, thank you. Stay safe. Thank you for taking the time to ring 020 722 4000. John, I'm listening on the internet. Well done to you and your team at this terrible time. Our thoughts over here are with you. Good luck, mate. Love and best wishes to everyone in London. From a Londoner, Rod, who's listening on the net in The Hague. We're going to go to Caroline Barker in a couple of moments, another one of our reporters at BBC London 94.9. She's at Euston. And I know this sounds awful, but this is the nature of news. If anybody's got any pictures from mobile phones or videos that you've taken of these dreadful incidents, we really need them. Can you email them to yourlondon, all one word, at bbc.co.uk? It's a terrible thing to say, but we need to be able to tell people what has happened, and we need you. I'm finding some of the phone calls disturbing, obviously extremely emotional, extremely distressing, but I hope that what we're doing is not being ghoulish. I hope what we're doing is not speculating, and I trust that what we're doing is telling you what has happened on this terrible, terrible day for London. 6 minutes to 11. We'll go to Euston in a couple of moments. We've also got someone who's been at Tavistock Square. We'll talk to her as well. But first, Pete with another update. He's trying to basically pull together evidence happening from government, from the Prime Minister, and around the country and around the emergency services. Pete.
John, to try and put it into perspective, let's try and clarify exactly where these reports, these explosions have come from. Now, the most central one seems to be around the King's Cross area. That, if you kind of think of that as being the pivotal one, then if you go down to the east, if you were looking at a map, say, we get down to Aldgate. So that's kind of the furthest east. Tavistock Square is as far as we're going to the right, to the west. So it's kind of like a triangular area across there, just so people can try and fix exactly what we've got. Now, the list that we've got at the minute, where the police are investigating, is Edgware Road, King's Cross, Liverpool Street, Russell Square, Aldgate East, and Moorgate. They're all the underground stations that we've been told that they're investigating at the moment. We have now had it confirmed, unfortunately, that there are 3 buses as well that have been exploded. We did know about one. That's the one that we talked about earlier on at Tavistock Place. We now know that there have been another 2 on top of that.
Do we know where those other 2 are yet?
At the minute, the details have not come through on that one, but they have confirmed that, yes, there have been others. All London hospitals, as you said earlier on about the services for ambulances and everything else, all London hospitals have now been put on a major incident alert. This is the kind of thing that all the emergency services practice for. You remember when they did this on a Sunday last year? Yeah. This is the scale now that we're talking about. This is what they've now deployed. So they brought this service in. Bringing casualties straight in at the minute to St Mary's Hospital at Paddington. 1 patient was reported as seriously injured. Others had minor wounds so far. A spokeswoman has confirmed that St Mary's is on this major incident alert. All hospitals will also join it. We've been told as well that the statement is now starting to come through from the Commons. It's the Home Secretary Charles Clarke that has started that. It is, as we thought, coming out as basically a written statement at the moment. The House will be told about it fully as well. He has been quoted as saying that the London blasts have caused terrible injuries. Now, at the moment, again, we don't have those figures. We don't know how far that's going to go.
I see BBC News 24 is reporting fatalities in the bus explosion.
Yeah, we have eyewitness reports that are coming through on the wire service as well, saying that they have seen bodies
we just
on
had
the buses.
one as well, that lady who was on the tube at Liverpool Street Station.
And again, the reports are beginning to come through that there are fatalities, that there are bodies that have been found on services. We've been told as well that an area south of Liverpool Street on Houndsditch, that has just been sealed off. The police have sealed off the area. One of our reporters down there has been told that a bomb has gone off on that street. We will try and get more. We will try and get more information on that one.
Please clarify where that was again.
That was Liverpool Street on Houndsditch. It's a BBC reporter who's been told by the police there that it was an explosion.
Okay, so again, advice: stay at home.
Stay at home. Stay away at the moment. And as you said as well, networks are struggling right now. If you can't get through to a loved one, don't panic. You will get through at some point, but just be patient. It's going to take a little bit of time for all the services, phone services and everything else, just to cope with what's happening right now.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Pete. Abby, just a note to you. Could you look at the email from Bill, please? I obviously can't read that out at the moment, but could you look at it? Let's go to Caroline Barker. She's at Euston. Good morning, Caroline.
Good morning, John. I'm having to speak to you from inside a building as all the mobile phone networks are jammed. There's very little to tell you from down here at Euston. I've spoken to the police who are saying that they have nothing further to say other than they're advising people to stay away from the area. No one is allowed within maybe 50 or 100 metres of Euston at the moment. They've closed off all the roads nearby. I have spoken to 2 tourists who were staying in a hotel very near where it's been suggested that there was an explosion in a bus. We're not sure about that. They are unconfirmed reports from this end. What they're saying is around about 9:45, they heard a loud explosion. They would liken it to a car crash sound, and they immediately were told to get out of the hotel. They walked out to the front of the hotel to find people running about in panic situation. But although as of yet I've not seen anyone walk out from down near that area, all I have seen is about 3 ambulances and fire crews heading towards that area.
Caroline, anything else you need to tell me at this moment?
At this moment, details are very sketchy, other than there is
Okay.
lots of panic and the police are telling people to stay away from this area.
Caroline, we'll come back to you later in the show. Thank you. 020 722 4200. We're listening to you. Please text as well. 07786 200 949. Or email us, gaunty@bbc.co.uk. We'll have the news and the travel. Then I'll be speaking to Jane Witherspoon. She's been to Tavistock Square straight after these headlines. I think this sums up what London's feeling this morning. John, I'm in tears. Thank Christ I've been working from home this week. But what of all my friends and colleagues? Effing hell. I can't stop crying. I hope people you know are okay. That's from Dave, a regular emailer. 2 minutes to 11.
Thanks, John. Well, following the incidents this morning, we've got no services running on the London Underground. All lines are currently suspended. All stations are closed. Passengers are being advised to avoid central London at the moment. It's also having an impact for overground trains into London. We just had news in, actually, that the Stansted Express trains are running only from Tottenham Hale out to Stansted because of the Liverpool Street closure. Gatwick Express are still operating from Victoria Station. However, Heathrow and Gatwick Express are not running through Paddington. Also through Paddington, First Great Western and First Great Western Link trains suspended from Reading. Virgin trains between Birmingham New Street down into Euston, they're terminating at Watford Junction, and no trains are coming, or Silverlink trains are coming down from Watford Junction at the moment. Silverlink Metro affected, and C2C trains obviously not coming into Fenchurch Street either. Now, due to the problems at Marylebone, Chiltern trains between Aylesbury and Marylebone, there is no service at the moment, and also down from Birmingham Snow Hill, they're terminating at High Wycombe. Now, the roads are obviously impacted as well. Euston Road, the A501, closed between Eversholt Street and York Way. Now, this is causing all sorts of congestion problems around the King's Cross area. Edgware Road, the A5, closed at Marble Arch northbound and southbound at Marylebone flyover. All Park Lane traffic is being advised to use Bayswater Road. Obviously, very, very busy heading out towards the west. Russell Square closed, Tavistock Place closed, and the Aldgate one-way system closed off to all traffic. No traffic getting through there at the moment. Houndsditch has been closed as well. Southbound Leman Street traffic down towards Aldgate is being diverted onto Dock Street. Westbound traffic is diverted onto the highway. However, the highway has been closed at East Smithfield as well. So traffic's basically just trying to get off onto side roads. So obviously very, very busy. The best advice, if you haven't yet set out on a journey, do stay at home for the time being. Kate Allen, BBC London 94.9. Next travel at 11:15.
You're listening to The John Galt Show, BBC London 94.9. It's 11 o'clock.
BBC London 94.9 FM and BBC Radio London on digital.
On TV, on radio, online.
This is BBC London.
With the 11 o'clock news, I'm Max Rushton. Good morning. A series of explosions on the public transport system has brought chaos to the capital. A number of people have been injured and there are several reports of fatalities. London Underground has been shut down. The first blasts were reported just before 9 o'clock between Aldgate and Liverpool Street stations and at Edgware Road station. At first they were blamed on power surges. There have since been reports of an explosion on a bus in Tavistock Square. This eyewitness was driving behind a line of buses in the Russell Square area around 9:45. He describes what he saw.
I was on Woburn Place near Tavistock Square.
Yeah.
And there was around about, I suppose, 6 vehicles in front of me, just a line of buses. And then, bang, you see the explosion. Don't know what caused it. You just see, like, either a side of the building fly across the road or as people have been saying, the side of the bus.
Another eyewitness was in the area of Liverpool Street and saw a bus explode.
I was in a car going towards Liverpool Street Station, as hadn't heard there was problems there this morning.
Yeah.
And had just turned into Tavistock Square and was about a block away and saw the bus and then, of course, heard the explosion. And so, of course, people running and a number of wounded people.
The first incident was reported from the Tube at Liverpool Street. This eyewitness was on the platform.
I was actually on the platform when there was a big blast behind me, like literally like a foot or 2 feet away.
Yeah.
I started at the ends of the platform, and then everybody kind of ducked, and the lights went out on the tube, and we had to evacuate.
There have also been reports of incidents on the Piccadilly line. This eyewitness was in the back carriage of one of the underground trains that was involved.
I was on the Piccadilly line train at King's Cross.
Right.
And, I was in the very last carriage of the train. And, there was just a very big bang. I mean, I've heard that they were explaining it as maybe being a light falling on the train, but it was too big a bang to have been that. It sounded like an explosion.
And another commuter, Nina Tudosama, said she was in the carriage behind the one affected by the explosion near Aldgate. She said there was a big explosion as the train stopped with a jolt, and it was terrifying.
Well, as I was walking past, I actually saw the exploded carriage, and there were people there screaming out in agony, and there was a woman I just saw that she was lying there covered in blood and her toe wasn't moving. So, yeah, you can say it was very badly damaged. The parts of the train all over the track.
In the past few moments, the Home Secretary, Charles Clarke, made this statement outside Downing Street.
As far as the police are concerned, they are in operational command and dealing with the situation in accordance with very well-established procedures in an extremely professional way. Health services are in support to deal with the terrible injuries that there have been, and I want to express sympathy on behalf of the whole government to the families and friends of those who have been injured. And as far as transport's concerned, underground services have been suspended, and we advise people not to make unnecessary journeys in London at this stage in order to help the police and other emergency services deal with the current situation. I'll be making a statement to the House later on today to fully update the situation, and throughout all of this and the terrible situation that is there, we will be updating the public very directly at regular intervals with the most up-to-date information we have. Thank you very much. That's all I've got for now. Thank you.
And let's get a latest update from BBC London's Pete Wilson.
Now, just on the back of what the Home Secretary's just been saying there, the message at the minute is, first of all, do not try and travel on the Underground. It is completely closed at the minute. Just to go back as well to some of the other points that have been coming through on John's programme so far this morning, there is going to be a casualty hotline set up for loved ones who want to get in touch with anybody who they think may have been involved in this. That's going to be switched on within the next half hour. We're just waiting for the details through so we get the number right. They haven't quite got that sorted out with BT just at the moment. Scotland Yard said that will be set up. It is to try and take the pressure off the mobile phone networks, which are crashing because of the volume of calls trying to get through. So if you are having trouble trying to get through on a mobile phone at the minute to any of your relatives that you think may have been involved, bear with it, because there will be a casualty bureau set up within the next 30 minutes.
Pete, thanks. BBC London 94.9. It's 5.5 minutes past 11.
This is London's liveliest phone-in with John Gaunt. Call 020 722 42000. Email gaunty@bbc.co.uk. John Gaunt, weekday mornings from 9.
In a moment, we'll hear a statement from Charles Clarke, the Home Secretary. But first of all, let's talk to Jane Witherspoon, one of our TV reporters who's been out and about today. She's been to Tavistock Square. If you're watching News 24, BBC News, some of the pictures you're seeing of the bus Jane took. Jane.
Yeah, John, the scene down there at the moment, police have cordoned off all the roads, and looking up into Tavistock Square, you can see the bus looks as if it's been ripped in half, split down the middle. There are bodies being brought out onto the pavement by the side of the ambulances. The police have brought in sniffer dogs while I was down there, but people are just in a bit of a state of panic. They don't know what's going on, and police are trying to just move them on. There's no public transport in the area, so they're trying to advise that they walk to wherever they're going.
Just repeat what you said to me about holding the camera, because I want people to understand.
Well, anyone who is watching News 24 will see trying to hold it, I was shaking. I mean, it's just crazy down there, and people obviously are jostling, and it is panic.
And because it's the tube lines, and because it's places like Tavistock Square, they're the places where we all go every day, or we walk every day, or we all know where these places are. We've all got that mental picture, haven't we?
Yes, that's right.
You know, Euston, Tavistock Square, you know, we all know where these places are. And, you know, I've just been out to see my team and said, you know, how are they? Have you spoken to your relatives yet? A couple of them have spoken to them, others haven't. You know, this is where it really takes your breath away, doesn't it?
Well,
if you understand what I'm saying.
That road, I mean, you've got obviously the main railways coming into Euston. Just along the road, you've got King's Cross. So people are used to coming into central London via those routes and to walk past and see, like you say, the buses that are just completely wrecked, police tape, cordoning off the streets, emergency services trying to help people who obviously are injured.
Thanks for telling us. See you later.
Thank you.
Jane's obviously gone out there and got pictures, but we at BBC London need your mobile phone pictures. We need your mobile videos, if you've got them. We need to tell this story. Can you email them to yourlondon@bbc.co.uk? You can email them to me if you want as well. We've got a statement from the Home Secretary. Before that, though, I just want to read out this email from Nick in Wandsworth, who says, "Hi, Gaunty. It's horrendous news. I was supposed to go into the city today, but thankfully switched you on before leaving. I just wanted to say, though, that whoever's behind all this will never stop me living and loving life in London. Remember, business as usual. Mourn the dead, tidy up and carry on. F***K them all." Nick in Wandsworth. The Home Secretary, Charles Clarke, here's his statement.
There have been a number of dreadful incidents across London today. The Cabinet has been kept informed of the situation, as has the Prime Minister at Gleneagles. I chaired a meeting of our COBRA Senior Ministers Committee earlier on today to assess the situation and decide what immediate action needs to be taken. As far as the police are concerned, they are in operational command and dealing with the situation in accordance with very well-established procedures in an extremely professional way. Health services are in support to deal with the terrible injuries that there have been, and I want to express sympathy on behalf of the whole government to the families and friends of those who have been injured. And as far as transport's concerned, underground services have been suspended, and we advise people not to make unnecessary journeys in London at this stage in order to help the police and other emergency services deal with the current situation. I'll be making a statement to the House later on today to fully update the situation, and throughout all of this and the terrible situation that is there, we will be updating the public very directly at regular intervals with the most up-to-date information we have. Thank you very much. That's all I've got for now. Thank you.
That's Charles Clarke, the Home Secretary. This texter, though, says, "John, where's Tony Blair? And I'm praying for all those in London, like the rest of us." He's at Gleneagles. No doubt he will be making a statement. Now's not the day, the time to slag anybody off, is it? Come on, let's get together. Let's pull on. Ben in Reading was on the tube. Morning, Ben.
Morning, John.
What can you tell me, my friend?
I was on the tube from Edgware Road. Luckily, the one going out of Paddington this morning. A massive explosion, and it certainly, in my opinion, was an explosion in the tube as another train came past us, and that was the one that took the brunt. When we came to a stop, the carriage opposite us was a wreck. The roof was peeled back, the doors are buckled off. There were people, it was light enough to see, there were people covered in blood trying to get into our carriage to get away from whatever was going on in their carriage. Eventually we got in there. An American chap was fantastic, and a medical guy, a little guy, I didn't get his name. They went across and were helping people over there. We were passing ties to use as tourniquets and coats to keep people warm and getting water. A lot of worry about there being a fire, which there wasn't. A lot of worry of what it is we've breathed in, because no one knows. Hopefully it's just acrid smoke, but, who knows what's going on. There were people dying in there.
Hang on. When you say people dying, I have to ask you to clarify that.
Well, absolutely. They were, from the medical guy that came back when he asked me to get some tourniquets and asked me to get some warm clothing, he said he thought there were 4 people dead, and he thought there were 4 people on their way because the medical services just couldn't get to them at that time. He also thought that someone had lost a leg, so whether that's true or not, I don't know, because I didn't see that carriage, but he thought the injuries were more severe. It looked, honestly, the inside of the carriage wasn't there. The seats were blown apart. There was just nothing there. It was empty. All the windows had gone. There was screaming, there was panic, there was a lot of, and I absolutely appreciate that you guys work in the media and you have to get the story and you have to get the pictures. But there were people who could have been helping who were taking photos.
Oh, yeah.
And to those people, I hope I never meet them again.
Be safe, Ben. Thank you. Gaunty, I'm an expat from Forest Hill. I'm listening on the internet in Hong Kong. I'm in complete shock and horror, and I want to thank you and your colleagues for the sterling job you're doing. Also to offer sympathy to all those affected in the underground and on the buses. Londoners, take care and be safe. Jamie from Hong Kong. Pete Wilson is in the studio. Another update for us, Pete, please.
Just going back to what the callers just said, we are getting different reports about casualties and fatalities. We haven't got anything finalised at the minute. We are waiting for a statement. We've been told that London Ambulance Service now will be able to at least issue a statement within the next 10 or 15 minutes. So we're waiting for that to come through. Just to go back to the bus that we have the details on, this is the one at Tavistock Place, the Route 30 bus that blew up this morning. Because of that, all buses and services in the central zone, Zone 1, they've been suspended for the time being. There are no buses running anywhere at all in that area. Extra safety checks are now being undertaken on all buses that remain in service and all bus garages. So they've all been stopped on the road. They are all being checked out to see what the situation is. And the latest line as well that's coming out from the Met, they have said that they are seeing this as a series of coordinated explosions. That's how they've described it so far. It is a series of coordinated explosions. Transport for London and London Underground have also talked to us, and the advice that we're being told at the moment, especially from London Underground, is not to say that this is a power surge. It is not the electrics that's doing this. It's a completely different situation. They are calling this as an emergency.
So it's no longer power surge.
They're no longer looking at the idea that it's going to be this. So now we're trying to figure out exactly what's going to happen. Now, we talked about this subject actually in your show earlier on in the week about how many officers have gone up to the G8 summit.
Oh, yes.
The word that we have at the moment is that the police commanders up there are now in discussions as to how many of those can come back down to London, not just from the Met, but actually from all other forces, and see exactly what can be done.
Well, surely
so
everyone would respect that situation now, wouldn't they? We're in a completely different environment and ball game now.
You know, this
is the time for London and the UK to pull together.
And just so you know, and I'm sure that we will be going across to this one live, Tony Blair is to make a statement on the explosions at midday, so we'll have that on the station.
Thank you very much indeed. Other people are commenting. I've got Roy Ram, former commander of Specialist Operations for the Metropolitan Police. This is what he's had to say this morning.
It's obviously a tragedy. I mean, what we're seeing here is a series of incidents which I think it's unrealistic to look at them in any sense as coincidental. This looks very much like a planned series of attacks. I think one shouldn't speculate too much, but seeing the number of incidents on the Underground and now on the buses across London, and the timing of these incidents, A, in the rush hour, and B, following London's success as the Olympic city, this is has all the hallmarks of a very carefully structured and timed terrorist attack. As I say, one shouldn't speculate too much, but those are the hallmarks that are there, and that's what we're facing. I think what we're also seeing is an amazing kicking from the emergency services who are putting into place the kind of practice that they've done at Bank Station recently, and realising that these were major targets, and they are actually responding, I think, very well at the moment, and we're getting very good reports from the public who are saying that the emergency services are there and on the scene and acting very properly.
Thank you. That's Roy Ram, who's the former commander of Specialist Operations for the Metropolitan Police. You're listening to the John Gaunt Show. This is BBC London 94.9. If you are trying to phone us, can you possibly now try to use landlines rather than mobile lines? We want to be responsible as well here. So if you possibly can, go into somebody's house, go into somebody's office and use the landline. It's 16 minutes past 11. Another travel update.
On 94.9 FM, this is BBC London.
Thanks, John. Well, no service running on the Underground at all. All lines are suspended. It's a network emergency, TfL have told me now, and passengers are advised to avoid the London Underground and, in fact, central London. As you just heard Pete saying, there are no buses in Zone 1 either. Docklands Light Railway, there are no trains into the city, and all mainline stations are disrupted as well. Talking of mainline station, Chiltern Railways, no trains, Aylesbury to Marylebone. There at the moment moment running between Marylebone and Denham to get out of London. Also, C2C trains are not stopping at West Ham, but at the moment they are running through to Fenchurch Street. First Great Western Link, no trains between Reading and Paddington. Heathrow and Gatwick Express not running into or from Paddington. Gatwick Express is still at the moment running from Victoria, but this may change minute by minute. JNER and Hull trains are not running into King's Cross. One Railway not running into Liverpool Street. Silverlink County, they're advising people not to attempt to go past at Watford Junction. People are actually having to get off the train at Watford Junction. That's for Silverlink Metro as well. There are no trains North Woolwich to Richmond. Southern at the moment seem to still be running. Virgin Trains Birmingham New Street to Euston, they're terminating at Watford Junction as well. Now on the roads, the A501 Euston Road closed both ways. We've also got Edgware Road closed, the A5 between Marble Arch and the Marylebone Flyover. All traffic on Park Lane is being pushed onto Bayswater Road. So obviously around the Bayswater area, traffic looking very busy out towards Shepherd's Bush. Russell Square, that's closed. Woburn Place to Southampton Road. The surrounding area completely closed as well. Tavistock Place. And the Aldgate one-way system remains closed. Houndsditch is currently closed. And the highway is closed at East Smithfield. Best advice, though, that the police and TfL are giving us to stay at home. If you're not making a journey into London, don't try. Kate Allen, BBC London 94.9, next weather and travel at 11:30.
18 minutes past 11. This major incident happening, of course, here in London at the moment. We're keeping you informed as much as we can. If you ring in, please could you try and use a landline to call us. Obviously, I'm now not asking you to text for obvious reasons. We need to keep those lines free. We'll get all the emergency numbers for you as well in the next 10 minutes or so, if you're concerned about your loved ones. As soon as we've got them, we'll give you them. 020 722 42000. Hi, John. Thankfully, I have spoken to my children at work in London, and they're safe. Have you had any information regarding mainline services out of London? Well, yeah, effectively they're stopping, and they're not going out. People are going to need to get out soon. What's happening to our beautiful city, John? How dare they? Take care getting home. Kathy in Belvedere. Ian Blair is talking at the moment, Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police. Ian Blair.
But as I say, the London emergency plan is working and they are being taken to hospitals. There are just a series of very short messages at the moment that we need to give. The first is to stay where you are. All of London's transport is currently disabled or stopped, whether that's buses or trains. So the safest thing that everybody can do is to stay where they are. Secondly, please do not call the emergency services at the moment unless there is a life-threatening situation. And thirdly, that we will return with information as soon as possible. But it is a situation for which we have planned and prepared, and the emergency services are all working together as one, and we will soon be in a position to be able to clarify issues further.
You mentioned 6 explosions at the start of your answer. I wonder if you could just be specific and list exactly where those explosions are, because, of course, through the morning there have been so many different reports from so many different places.
As far as we know, there are events which may be explosions at Edgware Road, at King's Cross, at Liverpool Street, at Russell Square, at Aldgate East and at Moorgate. But some of those, I mean, it is still, everybody has to understand, it is still a confusing situation in which reports are coming in from a number of places. And one of the things that would be most helpful is if the media in general do not speculate on what might be the causes, what might be everything else, and cause more alarm and concern than people will obviously feel at the moment. The situation is being controlled, and we will be able to give information as soon as possible.
You started the interview by saying there was a very clear emergency plan which has now been triggered, reassuring the public. Do you acknowledge that there will be a degree of panic, certainly, amongst people in central London?
There will certainly be a degree of concern. People have seen the pictures, they know the accounts, but you know, this is a very large city. In which a very significant and sophisticated emergency operation is now swinging into effect. We are connecting to the other police forces, the City of London, the British Transport Police, we're connected to the LAS, and we are gradually bringing order to the situation. The message is that if you have not so far been affected, then just stay exactly where you are for the time being until the situation clears. We will be opening a casualty bureau very shortly, and that casualty bureau number will be made public.
You mentioned many casualties. What is the number that you're thinking of? Are you talking about scores or are you talking about hundreds?
Well, of course, it's very difficult to give that answer, because if we have got a situation in which events have taken place in the underground or with an explosion on a bus, there will be lots of flying glass, there will be people inhaling smoke and so on. So to give a total number, I think, would be inappropriate. What I do know is that we're operating a proper triage system, and the most serious casualties will already be in treatment, and others who are described on one or other of the programme as walking wounded will be treated in due course. I just really want to reassure the public that the situation is steadily coming under control, and we will then start to understand exactly what has happened.
Do you know of fatalities at the moment?
I'm not prepared to say that at the moment, because I just do not know either the detail or the numbers. The important message is stay where you are, stay safe, don't travel because there's not much ability to travel, and that the Casualty Bureau will be opening soon. Thanks very much.
You spoke of...
That was Sir Ian Blair, the Met Police Commissioner. You heard the advice. Stay where you are. Stay where you are. And he's right when he says the media mustn't speculate. And you will not get speculation on this station. I've got a lot of people emailing me saying, oh, John, so-and-so saying this, so-and-so saying that, other news outlets. Thank you for that. And I know you're trying to help me, but I've got a massive team here that isn't helping me, because we're only going to report the facts as we get them. What will help me more is you to get on a landline and give me your eyewitness reports. Part of that massive team, Pete Wilson. Pete.
We've got our first statements coming through from Ken Livingston now. Now, he's still in Singapore. He hasn't come back from there yet. He is flying in later on. He is currently being briefed in his hotel room by the Metropolitan Police.
Who?
Ken Livingston is, whilst he's in Singapore at the moment. The policy of the whole 2012 team has actually to put all Olympic celebrations, as you would fully expect, completely out the window. They've been put on hold. And at this current time, they want to express their horror and revulsion as to what's happened in the capital this morning.
Anything else to tell us at the moment?
That's about it. As you heard, Sir Ian Blair has now confirmed that there were six explosive sites across London. We're still trying to find out. That isn't including the buses that we have been told about at the moment.
And also,
those
of course,
are the underground
he was also stressing the picture's still very confused, which is why he's asking people to stay at home or stay at work, because let's get these streets free for the emergency people.
That's a bit that's happening as well. That's a bit I said earlier about all the buses being stopped. The other statements that are coming through, understandably, again, congestion charge has been scrapped for today. But the advice is that doesn't mean that you can drive into London. Stay well away from it right now, because the roads are being cleared to get the emergency services to and from every available site. Not just to the incidents that have happened, but more importantly then getting back out to the hospitals across London, which, as I said earlier, are now on full alert to try and get the casualties through.
Thank you, Pete. We in London were celebrating yesterday. This is a text message. Today we've been attacked by cowards. We must pray for our dead and their families, dust ourselves down and hunt down the murderers. John, I've been over to my mum's to say goodbye as I'm leaving for Australia tomorrow. And now with all this happening today, this really is the saddest day of my life. John, I first found your programme when 9/11 was just happening. Been listening ever since and was hoping not to relive anything like that again. Keep up the good work. I've just said exactly the same out there. I've just said exactly the same. Never wanted to go there again. Let's speak to Labour MP Nick Rainsford, former Minister for London. Good morning, Nick.
Good morning.
What can you say?
Well, we're all very, very shocked, and all our thoughts go out to those who've been injured or killed in the incidents that have taken place in London this morning. It's still very unclear. We're waiting a statement which will come from the Home Secretary in about an hour's time. But what I do want to say, having had responsibility up until the general election for London Resilience, that is the preparations on the part of the emergency services and other agencies to cope with a major incident, that an enormous amount of work has been done, that the emergency services and all those involved will be doing their utmost to help the victims, to safeguard the public against further risk, and to help London get back to normal as soon as possible.
Sir Ian Blair just said, the picture's very confused, and I guess you would concur with that.
Yes, I wouldn't want to make a comment at all on that. I don't want to speculate. I don't think that helps.
No.
But I think people should be aware that an enormous amount of preparatory work has been done by the emergency services and all others likely to be involved in preparing to cope with these kind of circumstances. Londoners will recall the big exercise that took place at Bank Underground Station about 2 years ago, in which the emergency services tested their ability to rescue people from a simulated attack on the underground in a deep tunnel near Bank Underground Station. That was just one of very many exercises that have been conducted by the emergency services to put them in a position to be able to cope as well as possible. And I'm confident they will be doing a very, very professional and very good job indeed.
Thank you for joining us, Nick. Nick Rainsford,
You're
former
welcome.
Minister for London. Let's go to Susie, Edgware Road. Hello, Susie.
Hi there, hi.
You were on one of the carriages. Where were you?
I was in the carriage adjacent to, just next door to the one that had the explosion inside.
In Liverpool Street?
No, I was at Edgware Road.
Edgware Road.
Yeah.
Tell me.
I've just got home just now. Just got on the tube, sat on the seat that was next door to the next carriage, and a couple of minutes later, huge blast. All the glass and the door from in between blasted through, all came into my face, my ear. It just went grey, opaque smoke, and it was all sort of acrid acid smell, really sort of gassy, and no one could see what was going on. People could just, it kind of went very quiet, but also very sort of, you could hear the odd person screaming. And then the sort of smoke kind of cleared a bit, and we could start to see and it was all starting to sink in. And I tried to get up and nearly fell down a hole in the bottom of the tube, actually. And then sort of saw that the next door tube carriage was severely injured, and there were definitely some casualties. There were I'd say about 2 people that were dead there.
You thought you saw 2 dead bodies?
Yeah, there was definitely 2 bodies on the ground. I couldn't really get. I was trying to get in to help someone who had a broken leg, and was sort of tying my scarf around his leg. And there was some seriously panicked, very shaken people. Everyone was covered in grey smoke, and it was all completely sort of full of sort of debris from the train, where all the metal was sort of messed up and all the glass. And there was some very, very shocked. No one could hear because the blast was so strong.
It was that loud, was it?
It was so loud. My ears are pounding. I'm amazed I still have my hearing. My ears really ache.
Where are you now?
I'm at home because I live just 10 minutes away from the tube station. So when I finally got out, my brother came to get me, and I've come home. And my mother's a doctor. She's coming back home to sort my face out for me.
And how has your face got glass?
Yeah, I've got loads of glass, and I'm kind of caked in blood.
But your mum's going to sort you out rather than to go to emergency.
I thought I'd be better at home. And it was awful because it took us quite a long time. We were stuck inside the train, and no one knew what was going on. Everyone was very confused. A lot of people were panicking. Some people were keeping calm. I was trying to help the people next door, but they were crying out for medics and people that had first aid, but no one really had any sort of real first aid. And then sort of eventually, after about 20 minutes, the driver had sort of a message came through from the front. So the driver had got a ladder down at the front of the train, and everyone was sort of moved and helped and sort of stepped down the ladder. And then we were just at the side of the train trying to get out from the tunnel. But then we got stuck in the tunnel for about half an hour because it was held up at the front with some critically injured person that they couldn't move because they needed a stretcher.
How much panic was there?
There were some people who were critically ill, broken legs and internal bleeding, and some people were sort of conscious enough to be screaming out. So there was a real element of panic, but at the same time real helplessness because there was little that we could do. There was lots of sort of screams of sort of torches and penknives and tissues and water, but people were pretty sort of impotent, unfortunately. And I mean, there was basically the main carriage where so some of the people, there was a guy called Danny. He was really sort of seriously concussed and shaken up, but he was well enough to get up and walk, so we kind of helped him out. But the rest of the people who were critically ill obviously couldn't really move, and so they were left in the carriage. It took about half an hour for the emergency services to get to us. I don't know much idea about times. It always just seemed to take ages.
Of course.
And then eventually we were able to get out from the tunnel, and we were helped. And I have to say the emergency services are doing a really good job. I mean, they're really, it was all very organised. Like, it was really impressive.
Susie, thank you. Look after yourself. I hope your mum gets there soon. That's Susie. She was on the tube at Edgware Road. We're going to get some news headlines. Just some statement from St Mary's Hospital for you. Read the figures for casualties. 4 critically ill, 8 seriously injured, several minor injuries. Type of injuries are limb damage, burns, cuts, head injuries and chest problems. There's going to be a further written statement at 11:30 and a further briefing from the hospital around midday. The hospital can't confirm where the injured people have come from, i.e. which incidents. Number of ambulances involved goes into double figures, and they've launched their major incident plan. It's just, 28 minutes to 12. Let's get some news headlines on a full travel update with Max Rushton.
On 94.9 FM. BBC London.
Thank you, John. Good morning. The BBC security correspondent, Frank Gardner, says Arab sources who monitor Al-Qaeda have told the BBC they believe today's explosions in London are almost certainly the work of Al-Qaeda. A few moments ago, the Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police, Sir Ian Blair, said there'd been 6 blasts. They've happened at a number of underground stations and on buses, including what's been called major incidents at Liverpool Street and Edgware Road. The entire network's been shut down. There were further incidents at Aldgate, King's Cross, Old Street, Russell Square and Moorgate. Eyewitnesses say many people have been injured and there have been a number of fatalities. The Leader of the House of Commons, Jeff Hoon, has told MPs there have been a number of serious incidents, and the Prime Minister, Tony Blair, is due to make a statement at midday. Network Rail says there's severe disruption to several main lines into London. The services affected are those into Liverpool Street, King's Cross, Euston and St Pancras. A casualty hotline is being set up and we'll give you that number as soon as we get it. The advice for everyone is not to travel. That's the summary. There'll be a full bulletin at midday.
On 94.9 FM, this is BBC London.
Well, as you're aware, there is no tube network. All lines are suspended and TfL and the police are advising people to avoid London Underground for today anyway. No buses, as you just heard, in Zone 1 are operating. Docklands Light Railway, no trains heading into the city, and all mainline stations are disrupted as well. On the overground trains, Chiltern trains, no service. Aylesbury to Marylebone. Trains are running between Marylebone and Debenham at the moment. C2C trains are not stopping at West Ham, but for the time being running into Fenchurch Street. First Great Western Link not running between Reading and Paddington. Heathrow and Gatwick Express not running into or from Paddington either. The Gatwick Express is still running at the moment from Victoria. Journey R and Hull trains, they're not running into King's Cross. One Railway, they're not running obviously into Liverpool Street. Thameslink trains have been suspended across the entire network, and Silverlink County trains, police are advising don't attempt to travel on them. Services are coming down from Northampton but terminating at Watford Junction, and Silverlink Metro trains are suspended as well. Southern trains are still running at present, but a very skeletal service. Virgin trains between Birmingham New Street and Euston are also terminating at Watford Junction. Now on the roads, major roads in central London closed. The A501 Euston Road closed in both directions. A5 Edgware Road closed, Marble Arch and the Marylebone flyover. Russell Square closed between Woburn Place and Southampton Row. We've also got the whole of the Aldgate one-way system closed off to all traffic. Now this is causing major problems around the east of London. The highway is also closed at the junction with East Smithfield. I can't say enough. If you haven't made a journey today, do stay at home. Traffic is not getting into central London and neither are trains. Kate Allen, BBC London 94.9. Next update at 11:45.
This is BBC London. John Gords. Call 020 722 42000. London's liveliest phone-in with John Gords. Weekday mornings from 9.
25 minutes to 12. Quickly, let's go to Richard Foster. He's at Liverpool Street. Good morning, Richard.
Morning, John.
What can you tell us now?
Well, as I left Liverpool Street around about 15 minutes ago. I came back to try to move the car away that I've been in this morning. As I came back, I noticed that some more roads had actually been sealed off, namely Houndsditch, which is just behind Liverpool Street Station. That had been sealed off. There were police on horseback there, and I overheard one of the police officers telling a pedestrian nearby about the fact that there had been these explosions in the centre of London, and that basically the advice was not to travel. Now, Liverpool Street Station, as far as I know, is still sealed off. Still plenty of police down there, and also, but the number of people who were actually gathered there when I arrived was in the thousands. Since then, it's all sort of thinned out a little bit. People just seem to be getting on with their daily lives again.
And where have they gone?
I imagine, I think that the pubs nearby were quite full as I looked in. I think they're obviously carrying live news updates of what's been happening in London this morning. People are just sort of gathering there, phoning their friends, phoning their loved ones. I phoned my mum to tell her I was okay after she sent me a text. So I think people are just doing the same.
And did you see casualties there?
I haven't seen any casualties being taken out. I think they would have been taken out and removed to hospital a little earlier today. As I said, I met a few eyewitnesses who had seen what happened, and I spoke to them, but I didn't actually see any wounded people.
Thank you very much indeed for your comments. We'll go back to Richard later. Now let's go live to the Bishop of London, the Right Reverend Richard Charters. Good morning, Bishop.
Hi, good morning.
What can you say at a moment like this?
Well, all I can say is I want to avoid speculating before we're absolutely clear what's happened, but already clergy in London are working alongside the emergency services, and churches close to the affected areas are open for shelter, aid and prayer. But I mean, obviously, like us all, I've got 4 children. I live in central London. They're away from home somewhere else in the capital at the moment. So, like everybody else, I share the general anxiety. Our hearts go out to the injured, and the response of the emergency services, as far as I can hear from reports that are coming into me, has been marvellous. And we're with them, and we're with other Londoners.
And do you feel, I mean, I don't know whether you agree with me, the emergency services seem to have responded in a magnificent way so far?
Absolutely. I mean, I've heard, because the clergy are already there at some of the sites, and so I've heard direct reports from them of how rapid the response has been and how good it's been.
Thank you, Bishop. Thank you for joining us this morning. That's the Bishop of London, the Right Reverend Richard Charters. Do you want to join in? Do you want to tell us what you've seen this morning? If you do, can you please try and use a landline rather than a mobile phone, for obvious reasons now? 020 722 42000. Email is a very good thing to do at the moment. Email me, Gaunty, Gaunty, at bbc.co.uk. As we know, at the moment confirmed, police believe there has been at least 6 blasts. The Prime Minister, Tony Blair, will be speaking, making a statement at 12 o'clock. We, of course, will be carrying that. I'm going to be carrying on with the show for another hour or so, at least, here on BBC London, taking your reaction, certainly listening to what you've seen this morning, please. John, I've got no words. I'm just crying, says Michael. 020 722 42000. Frank Gardner as well. Can you bring through the thing that Frank Gardner's been saying, please, for me, Abby, straight away? The BBC security expert. I want to read that out. We've heard some horrific tales this morning, some horrific experiences. If you've seen anything, if you were there, we want to hear from you. But as I keep saying, we do not want speculation on this show. 020 722 42000. We're now going to get another update at 21 minutes to 12 with Pete Wilson. Pete, what are you telling us this time?
You heard it in the news earlier on as well, the statement that's come from the BBC's own security correspondent, Frank Gardner. Now, he has been talking to sources that he is in close contact with, who in turn monitor Al-Qaeda and monitor their movements. And they have told the BBC that they believe today's explosions here in London are almost certainly the work of Al-Qaeda. Now, it is, I know you've just gone through the speculation bit. We haven't got this confirmed from any Al-Qaeda source. This is from our own BBC correspondents who work closely in this field.
So no one's claimed responsibility?
At the moment, no. But what they're saying is, effectively, it's got all the hallmarks of an Al-Qaeda planned attack. It kind of goes back as well to this link, and this is, again, the stuff that's coming up through Frank Gardner. You've got these 6 targeted explosions, all hit within a very short space of time. Then the targets that went onto the bus as well. It looks like that kind of planned attack, and that's what the hint is on this at the moment.
Did just refresh my memory? Did Sir Ian Blair say he thought it was a terrorist attack? At any point in his statement, I can't remember.
Didn't use the word terrorist at any point. He did use explosion, but he didn't use the word terrorist. So that's the situation at the moment. That's kind of the latest that we've got on those explosions. I know you read out the latest casualty figures as well that we had there just before the 11:30. We're waiting for updates as well, unfortunately, from the other hospitals that are around central London that have also been put on full alert because of what's happened.
Thank you, Pete. John, I can't believe what's happening. It's ironic, isn't it? It's happened today when it was widely broadcast that a large amount of the Met were being sent to Scotland. Pete, just come back and clarify that. A lot of the Met were sent to Scotland, that is correct, but there's some talk about them coming back, isn't there?
Yeah, this is the chat that's going on with the head of police at Glen Eagles at the moment for the G8 summit. You've also got the commanders from a lot of different forces now. From the Met, I think from memory there were 1,200 officers that were sent from the Met's force to go and help at Glen Eagles to be the extra support there. The talks are now ongoing as to how many, not just of those, but from other forces can be spared to come down and help in London now. And they, whatever that decision is, they will be shipped down to here as soon as possible.
I'll carry on with the email. I pray for everyone who's gone out today thinking they would have a normal day, and I hope it will not change the way that we live and embrace visitors in our great city. I'd like to say to everyone, be strong. That's from Molly. Let's go to one of our BBC London reporters, Anna O'Neill. We heard from her earlier. She's in Russell Square. Good morning, Anna.
Good morning, John. Well, I'm actually I've managed to get myself into an office on Tavistock Place, just near to Tavistock Square, where we believe one of the explosions was. And just to keep you updated, really, about what's happening here, we've seen lots of different ambulances going in. We've just seen 2 blood donor vans going in, and just on Herbrand Street, which is just to the side of Tavistock Place, we've seen some people being stretchered away. Now, they look as if they're coming from the direction of the Russell Square side, but it's obviously very difficult to tell when you're actually down here on the ground. I know we did hear, about half an hour ago, we did hear another explosion. Now, we're not sure whether that was a controlled explosion or whether it was a different explosion altogether, but I know we've seen the police sniffer dog that's sniffing for explosives is also going around this area, and the cordons just keep being moved further and further back, so people are being herded into smaller and smaller spaces. But the atmosphere is, not one of panic. People generally just hanging around, waiting to find out what's happened and being very, very calm.
And anything else you can tell us at this moment?
No, nothing at all at the moment. As I say, just the blood donor vans going in, and I wonder whether, we might find that we're hearing calls for people to go and donate blood over the next few hours or so. But certainly they've gone into Tavistock Square here. Obviously they're needed, so it might be something to think about.
Thank you very much indeed. 020 722 42000. That was Anna O'Neill in Russell Square. If you're calling, please try and call on a landline if you've got anything to tell us, if you've seen anything. Let's go to Eudora Pascal, who's at the friend's house in Euston. They've set up help there, basically. Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
What can you tell us, and what are you trying to do?
Yes, well, there have been a lot of people outside the building at a friend's house opposite Euston, a lot of people under shock in the cold and so on. So what we've done is we've opened our doors, and we're offering free tea and coffee and also free phone use, as well as having installed a radio so that people can actually hear what's going on.
OK, and have you got injured people there?
We haven't got anyone injured, but we've got people who are severely shocked. People who have actually seen the blast, people who haven't heard from their relatives, who haven't been able to get through, people in tears, all sorts, really.
And those people were in Tavistock Square, were they?
They were waiting in Tavistock Square, yes, because, of course, they'd been asked to leave the whole Euston and King's Cross area, and also from the other side, Tavistock area. OK, and what help are you giving them? Is it tea and sympathy to a certain extent at the moment? Well, we're offering free tea and coffee, free phone use. We've got a quiet room where people can go and sit down. We've got all our members of staff are actually walking around, talking to everybody, checking that people are OK, talking to them if they need to talk, need talking to, that sort of thing, really. OK, and they've got the radio tuned in, they're listening? Yes, we've got the radio tuned in, and we're telling everybody about that so they can actually hear what's going on, what the news is, yes. And if any of those people wish to speak to me, then please get them to call as well, Eudora. I will do, yes. I'm sure that there are quite a lot of people here. We've had several hundred people come in, so... And I should think a lot of people want to thank you for the work you're doing. Thank you. Okay, Eudora thank you. Pascal, who's at friend's house in Euston, they've set up basically a room for the shocked, not so much the injured, the physically injured, but the shocked. I mean, can you imagine being there? I mean, I don't know about you, I was talking to Robert about the lady who rang in and said she was just behind the bus, and she had a 15-month-old daughter with her. She was in a cab, and she said she just covered her daughter up. I mean, if you're a parent, you know exactly what she means. I mean, I do that thing. I don't know if you ever do that thing when you brake quickly and you put your hand across to your kid or to your wife. Do you understand what I'm saying? Even though they've got a belt on, it's that kind of thing, isn't it? Times a million. It's just absolutely horrendous. Louis, the question you've asked, I've got an email from Louis here, because I don't want to get involved in speculation, Louis, I can't give you an answer to that, but could you look at that one for me, please, Abby, and maybe you could reply to the person. Right, email Gaunty, Gaunty at bbc.co.uk, or phone me 020 722 42000 if you want to say something. All right, what is it now? 14 to 12. Here's a full update for you.
on 94.9 FM. This is BBC London.
Thanks, John. Well, following the incidents, there is no service at all on the London Underground. All lines are suspended and all stations are closed. No buses are operating in Zone 1 and DLR trains. No trains are coming into the city. All mainline stations are disrupted as well. Chiltern trains are not running into Marylebone. They're terminating at Denham at the moment. C2C trains are not stopping at West Ham. First Great Western and First Great Western Link trains from Reading are not running into Paddington. Heathrow and Gatwick Express trains are all cancelled into Paddington. The Gatwick Express does still seem to be running at the moment from Victoria, but that may change. GNER and Hull trains not running down into King's Cross. Edinburgh to King's Cross trains are terminating at Peterborough at the moment, and One Railway aren't running into Liverpool Street at all. Thameslink trains are suspended across the entire network, and Silverlink County trains are currently terminating at Watford Junction. That's heading down into London. Obviously, no trains are leaving at the moment either. Silverlink Metro, they're severely disrupted. North Woolwich to Richmond as well. Virgin trains down from Birmingham, they're not coming into Euston either. They're currently terminating at Watford Junction. Now, the roads affected in central London. Euston Road, the A501, closed completely in both directions. Eversholt Street has now been closed at Euston Road and New Oxford Street. Edgware Road closed both directions at Marble Arch and Church Street. So the closures are generally lengthening now. Traffic's being diverted via Bayswater and out towards the west. Obviously, congestion-wise, it's not very nice at all out there. Russell Square in central London, that's closed between Woburn Place and Southampton Row. We've got the Aldgate one-way system, so over towards the city and the east, all completely closed off. No traffic's getting into the Aldgate one-way system, which is causing real problems for the A11. Houndsditch is also closed as well now, along with the highway. Now, Camden is seriously congested. Lots of people heading away from Euston. Marble Arch, seriously busy. Holborn, OK. Strand, it looks like people are actually staying out of central London, which is good news. And if you can continue to keep doing that, don't make any journeys into central London. Kate Allen, BBC London 94.9. Next update at midday.
And you listen. I just managed to speak to my wife actually there during the travel. So I'm sorry to start a bit late. Right. Sorry, Pete Wilson's here.
It's not a good time, this. City of London police spokeswoman has told us that there have now been 2 confirmed deaths at Aldgate. And that's the first figures that we've had through. That's just come up in the last couple of minutes.
Just slowly, for a moment, DLR closed now for precautionary measures. And this is an interesting text. And can you get one of your team onto this straight away, Pete? John, can you find out if they need blood and where we can donate? Ivan in Putney. What a good thing to say. I mean, obviously, don't do anything yet, but let's find out about that.
Good point. I can probably help with that one slightly. At midday, we talked about it in the 11 o'clock news. I was told that there was going to be a helpline that was going to be set up. And it was supposed to be switched on within a half hour. I've now been told by Scotland Yard that because they're trying to sort everything else out, it has been slightly delayed. That will now go live at midday. We're still waiting for that number to come through, but that number will come through at midday, and it's also at that time they're going to issue health and help advice. So that will help.
So we'll start getting emergency numbers and all the rest of it.
So that could possibly
which is obviously what people want. I mean, I just spoke to my wife. She's not even in London, but you just want to make contact with your loved ones at a time like this, don't you?
Now, as you said, the DLR has now been closed for precautionary measures. That's, again, the same checks that the buses are going through in London at the moment. We have a couple of different reports that are coming through. We've first of all been told by one of our reporters who's down at Hyde Park that Upper Brook Street has been cordoned off. That's as a precaution. Now, that is where the US Embassy is. So they've closed that area off, as you would expect. We've also been told by the Israeli ambassador to London that their embassy is under what they've described as a state of emergency. No one allowed to enter or leave the building. Again, this is exactly what you'd expect in a situation like this. We're also getting some details come through. This is, again, a separate interview that seems to have come through with Sir Ian Blair. And it's not one that came up on the interview that we ran earlier on the BBC. This is one that's come up through different sources that he's been quoted as saying that there are indications of explosives at one of the blast sites. And there is no indication as yet that there were any advance warnings. So we'll try and get more on that as and when we can, but that's the stuff that we've been told at the minute. Now, the update as well on the transport, I know you're getting quite a bit anyway through from the travel desk, but just so that you know what we've now been told. Heathrow Express and the Connect services have reopened. Paddington Rail is reopened, but the tube remains closed. Stansted Express remains suspended. Gatwick Express apparently is unaffected. So that's a rundown that we've got on those so far.
Thank you very much indeed, Pete. Don't forget, we're giving travel updates every 15 minutes. Dear John, please tell me you aren't going off the air at midday and you're going to stay with this horrendous story. Best wishes, Louise. Louise, yes, we will be continuing for another hour or so, trying to get the information out to you, trying to hear from you, trying to get your thoughts and also, of course, your eyewitness reports. Listening on the net, John, good work, you lot, keeping us informed out here in the Shires. Got friends in town, so good to be kept updated. Here's a message for those responsible. You will not break us. You will not shake us. Why? Because we won't let you. I'm glad your family's okay. That's from Gower. Thank you. Let's go to Aldgate now. Jim Weeble joins us, our reporter again. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, John.
What can you tell us this time, my friend?
Well, there have been a lot of ambulances still coming up and down this road east. There still seems to be people that they are taking out from some location around here. One interesting thing that I did see earlier on, about an hour ago, standing by Aldgate East Tube Station, I looked up onto one of the tall office blocks here, and there were about 6 or 7 army officers who were in fatigues on the top of the building, looking out, binoculars, having a look over towards Liverpool Street and around this kind of location. What inferences you draw from that, we can't really speculate, as you keep correctly saying, but that's something that I definitely did see, and I can report that to you now.
Okay, and is there anything else you can tell us? The signal's breaking up a little, Jim, but is there anything else we need to know at this point?
Well, I mean, around here at Aldgate, things definitely seem under control in terms of people who have been evacuated offices. There was a lot of people here earlier on when I was here about an hour or so ago. A lot of people coming out of their offices, not knowing what was going on. The streets were pretty full with people. Now, a much more calm situation and a much more under control situation around here anyway.
Thank you very much indeed. That's Jim Weeble in Aldgate. I do apologise, obviously, for the strength of the signal there. We'll try and improve that next time we go back to him. We have got reporters right across town at the moment. We've also got you telling us what happened, what you can see at the moment, and your eyewitness reports, some of which, well, many of them, in fact, all of them have been completely emotional and shocking and life-changing, I would say. I'd go so far as to say today's a life-changing moment. Morning, Gaunty, I'm stunned. Thanks for not speculating on BBC London, because I've been calling and emailing and to reassure people, and their distress has been worse because of the speculation on some outlets. I was fortunate enough that I'm seeing my practice nurse, and it was rescheduled for today, so I wasn't going through Liverpool Street. Fred in Ilford. I think there's going to be lots of stories like that, aren't they? People who do something and did something different today. Don't forget, at midday at 12 noon, we're expecting Tony Blair to address the nation, and we will be carrying that live. Am I correct, Abby? Does that mean we're going to be doing the news bulletin early, or are we going to be doing it later? I presume we'll be doing it later. Shall we have the travel then, say, at 3 minutes to 12 before Mr. Blair? Can you just tell me how you want to do that? After. OK, just so I know. We're going to be doing the travel after Tony Blair speaks to the nation. He'll be speaking live at midday, we understand. Midday, he will be speaking to all of us. So we will carry that here live on the on BBC London 94.9. Sorry, I'm just listening to what we're going to do next. I do apologise to you. 020 722 42000. Pick up the phone and give us a call. If you've got a landline now, we are asking you to use landlines rather than using, what do you call it, mobile phones, for obvious reasons. 020 722 42000. Also, the Prime Minister coming up at 12 o'clock. We're also hoping as well, hoping today to give you all the emergency numbers. Obviously, the teams are beginning to get that ready now. So hopefully, again, after 12 o'clock midday, we can start giving you those numbers out, because all of us are concerned about our loved ones, our children, concerned also about our relatives, of course, as well. So we will do that. An email here which I really wanted to read to you. Not that one. Wait a minute. Please bear with me, because there's an email that sums up probably how we're all feeling at the moment. No, I can't find it at the moment. I'll get it for you in a couple of moments. Right. So this is BBC London 94.9 FM. If it's the first time you've listened to us, thank you for joining us, and I guess we would like you to have been joining us in happier times. Today was a day that was meant to be all about celebration of this great city. It's turned into something completely different. Something completely different. The Met Police Chief, it's being reported now that he says the situation is getting under control, but many casualties in the blasts as well. Let's now go to Helen Bart from BBC London. She's at King's Cross. Good morning, Helen.
Good morning, John. How are you?
Not very well. What can you tell me?
John, I'm in a King's Cross pub on King's Cross Road. It's called the Northumberland Arms. It's about 5 minutes away from the Tube.
Yeah.
Basically, I was walking into work this morning and I couldn't get in, and I decided to take buses to go towards King's Cross. Basically, they were all abandoned from Angel, so I decided to walk down towards King's Cross, where I saw hundreds and hundreds of people walking the opposite direction. I got as far as King's Cross, where everything was cordoned off, and all you could hear, literally, were sirens and police helicopters. You could literally hear a pin drop. Apart from that, there were literally miles of buses, empty buses. Everyone had to obviously evacuate, because I've since heard that there were some bombs on buses. I decided when it started to rain to make my way towards this pub, which is absolutely packed full of commuters. They're handing out cups of tea and serving free drinks, but obviously everyone's really anxious, trying to get through to friends and family on the phone. And of course, because of the built-up nature of this area and because of all the confusion, a lot of people aren't getting network, so obviously a lot of people are quite worried. I've just spoken to a woman who's just said to me she's extremely worried about her daughter who works in Soho. She can't get through to her. She's waiting in the pub trying to get to see whether or not she can text her. Some people are getting through on text, but they're not getting through on the phone. That's the situation.
Yeah, we've heard that as well. That actually, it seems as if the text system is working better than the actual phone system.
That's right. That's right. I managed to actually text through to Wynne, obviously one of the news editors at BBC London, a couple of other people, but I have not been able to get through on the phone to anybody.
What's the mood in the pub? It sounds subdued.
Very subdued. Everyone is just glued to the television. People are they've just abandoned. I mean, there were people who were literally on their way to Paddington Station, on their way to Heathrow Airport, who've just literally abandoned all journeys. Obviously, there's nowhere they can go. They can't get a bus. They can't get a tube. They're literally sitting in here with their luggage. People who are on their way to work just decide, obviously, can't go any further. So everywhere around here is cordoned off. I mean, I don't live too far away. I live in Islington. I can't make my way back, basically, because everything is cordoned off. It's like a ghost town. It's absolutely like a ghost town. The mood in the pub is quiet and subdued. Everyone is just sitting here drinking. The bar staff have been absolutely fantastic, handing out free cups of tea and drinks to people who need it. People are trying not to panic, but of course, if you can't get through to your friends and family, of course you're going to be concerned. And obviously, we're watching the news, and I'm seeing reports that there are casualties. I don't know. You probably know more than I do at this stage. I just don't know, but I'm waiting here, and until I'm told otherwise, I'm going to wait here and just monitor the situation.
Helen, stay safe. Good talking to you. Thank you very much indeed. Helen Bart from BBC London. She's at King's Cross, just down from the station. She's in a boozer. Interesting when you talk to people normally in the pub, when it's a reporter, a lot of noise in the background. There wasn't much, was there? She said a very subdued atmosphere. She said, however, the pub and the bar staff have been excellent. They've been giving out hot cups of tea to people who've come in there. She said luggage abandoned in the street because people were going there to go away on holidays or go away on breaks. Just left it. Just got out of the area. We'll be listening to Tony Blair in a couple of moments. Tony Blair is going to make a statement at midday. We'll be carrying that live for you. Just to let you know, I'm carrying on for at least another hour or so here, taking your reaction today to today's terrible, terrible events and bringing you the people who've got things to say. We still haven't really heard from the emergency services, or indeed from the Met. We hope to do that in the next hour or so. Of course, they've had other priorities this morning. Interesting, isn't it, how people who are around the globe, Al Murray, the pub landlord, is in